Well, that normally takes a long time for it to come up. Welcome to the Sunday service with Father Flav. Told you's going to be on 2 o'clock. You all think I'm mad, don't you? But yeah, madness is profitable. For those of you who are brand new here, the Sunday service has nothing at all to do with religion. It's to do with servicing cars. Although it is a Sunday, so like the Sunday service, a bit of a play on words, so to speak. But there isn't really any religion. Although we can talk religion, should you want to talk religion. It's not really a problem. So I'm in my car today, and we're just hanging around, just deciding what to do. So the Sunday service is definitely on then. When you're here, would you please click like, wherever that is on your screen, and subscribe. And you'll find in the description a link to my Patreon account. Should you want to do Patreon for me, which would be absolutely lovely. Many subscribers already have, and we bought some bits and pieces out of it. So I got a new mic, a little Rode, what was it called? Rode, can't remember, something. Did you get drug tested yet? No. Drug tested? Oh, in Ireland? No. Just in case anyone wonder what that means, Ireland has started testing for drugs, for driving drugs on the roadside. I haven't even seen a checkpoint yet, and that's been honest with you. And here's an interesting fact for you. In all my years of driving in Ireland, I have never been breathalyzed in this country. Not once. I was breathalyzed twice in New Zealand, and I was there less than a year, I suppose. In a less than a year period, I was breathalyzed twice in New Zealand. Breathalyzed once in the UK. I've passed all these, but I never drink drive. But I've never been breathalyzed in Ireland, ever. And there was a controversy about how many breathalization things went on recently. But they started testing for drugs as well. I don't take drugs. I never have taken any kind of drugs ever, really. Anything hard other than marijuana, maybe. But the worst thing. How are you finding Ignis? I love the little Ignis. It's brilliant. Is the breath test the same level? Breath test for alcohol? No, they swab your mouth or something, don't they? I don't know actually how to test for drugs. Hi, Stephen. I don't know how to test for drugs in this country. There's our moderator. Moderator is also on Twitter as well. I found you earlier on. I'm all right. William Johnson. I'm fine, man. Welcome to everybody who's joining us right now. And thank you very much to 22,000 people who have subscribed to my channel. It just ticked over on 22,000 this morning, and it seems to be growing. It's 22,002 or something in the last while. Subscription is quite hard to get on YouTube. YouTube absolutely screwed up the system at the moment, and there's very little money or anything coming out of YouTube. Subscription is falling, not for me particularly, but I can't hear because I'm with family. Oh yeah, you've headphones in, that's alright. Happy Easter, Ross. Happy whatever this day is that means something to you. If it's just a bank holiday for you, if it's an Easter thing, Jesus is risen this morning and you've brought your zombie back, well done. If it's not a religious thing for you, and I'm not a religious person, congratulations, you have tomorrow off, which is really good. Hi Bob, here's our first question. Oh my god, we're off already. Deadly. Hi Bob, what do you think, which car do you think is good to buy? Megane, Opel, Astra, Megane 4, Opel, Astra, K, and new i30. I've heard of the Megane 4, some reliability problems. Well, I have good news and bad news on that front there, straight off, right? I got a text from a journalist yesterday saying that his car was broke, his Megane, the key stopped working and he couldn't get into the car, like the battery was gone dead. And so he had to get the rescue system out. So I don't know anymore with the Megane. Just don't know. I don't know whether you should go near it or not. Probably not. I like the Megane. I mean, Megane's a nice looking car, but electrical problems in French cars don't do well. Electric things don't do well in French cars. Opel Astra is really nice. i30 is nice too, but boring. I would go the Opel Astra. Particularly if it's a kind of a newer one. They're quite nice. Kind of funny place to sit, but funny way of sitting in the car, but it's quite nice though. Skoda Kodiaq or Mitsubishi Flav? Kodiaq, Thomas. Let's not discuss Mitsubishi. 8-year warranty. Do you know what? They've only got a little tiny office up in Dublin. It's very hard to see where that's going to be in 8 years' time. It's very hard to see where Mitsubishi's going to be in Europe in 8 years' time. They don't have very European cars. They're very Asian cars. They're good. They're reliable, but really they don't drive like European cars. They don't feel that European feeling to them. So, you know, you'll quickly tire of a Mitsubishi Flav. Although they're nice. I'm not saying there's nothing completely wrong. Plug-in hybrid electric vehicles is always good. But there's plenty of other choices out there in that range, and there'll be even more of them coming soon. Love a car for taking dog around. Would you recommend an estate for that, or like a Golf estate or Skoda Superb estate? I would go for a Golf estate on that one, or maybe a Skoda Octavia estate. A Skoda Superb estate is quite big and lumpy. You know, it's unless you really need that extra space. I'd go with a kind of smaller Octavia, or I'd go with let me see what else. There's a Golf estate in there as well. There's a couple of other estates that are coming on, which is pretty good. Two subs for 22k. Nice. I think the Sunday service at the local chapel might be more interesting than this. Well, then you know where to go. Will the Renault Talisman come to the UK, do you reckon? Talisman. What's a Talisman? Don't know. Will it come to the UK? If it's a saloon, it probably won't, William. No, more than likely. What is your least favourite car? A Nissan Tida. What else did I drive recently that I really didn't like that much? Can't remember. It'll come back to me soon. That'll come back to me. I'll tell you what, least favourite's always hard to pick because even the worst car on the market now has some sort of redeeming features to it. There's always some sort of a kind of a let up for it. You know, it's very hard to find a bad car these days. Lee Moore, looking for a noughties comfy cruiser, narrowed it on down to a 730 diesel, an A8 or a Phaeton, all around 2005-2008 your age. What's your opinion? Would you buy? I would buy the Phaeton because it's going to be far more rare there, Lee. 730 is a 730, fairly anonymous looking thing. An A8, there was a little kudos to an A8 because you get that sort of Ronin feel to it. So you can modify it. It takes modifications very well. But a Phaeton would be like hen's teeth because they don't even make it anymore. You know, it's gone. It's just gone. So Phaeton, I would go for it there. But just be careful on miles. They tend to rack up pretty quick. Bob, I'm trying to find myself a job. What place do you think I should focus on? I've already sent out plenty of CVs. Just wondering what place you recommend. So online seems to be the way to go. But, you know, you need to be different, okay? I haven't had a CV in, I don't know, a decade or something since I've used a CV to get a job of any kind. It's usually kind of meeting people and talking to people and getting into that sort of zone. I'm not talking about who you know, but I'm talking about being confident to be able to stand there and be yourself, you know, be who you are and represent who you want to be. Some people would tell you to send out your CV to as many places as you possibly can do it, and therefore you kind of throw your net wide. But that often leads you down a route of getting into a job you don't really like and you can't stick for very long. So I'm not a great advocate of sticking jobs very long. The longest job I've ever had has been this, YouTube. 7 years or something I'm doing this now. So but jobs.ie seems to be pretty good. LinkedIn, it seems to be pretty good. I'm not saying to get a job, but to see jobs that are happening out there and to get a CV in a place where you're able to show it off in a nice way. But be different, you know, branch out on your own, do your own thing, try something else, try something outside of your comfort zone. It'd probably be much more useful for you than what you're, you know, than kind of going down the normal route of everything. I'm not talking about give up everything for a YouTuber career or something, you know, but try something different. 3G is dying on the moderator, well done. You should have Marmite on toast. Marmite doesn't sound good. I just had peanut butter on toast, which is quite nice. It's amazing that Lancer is still on the market. God, you had a Tida. What a piece of rubbish. Most of the interiors of Japanese cars used to be rubbish. So it's not just Nissan that I pick on, but Tida was an awful car. God almighty, what a terrible little thing. Things like the Hyundai Pony from years ago. Actually, anything Hyundai up until about 10 years ago was pretty rubbish. Tida, terrible car. Yeah, Tida is a terrible car. Absolutely rubbish. Clio 1.5 DCI or 208 1.6 HDI. For talking about new cars, I would probably go for the Clio. If you want reliability, I'd go for the Clio. The 1.5 DCI has been around for decades and has done an exceptional job. Has been rebored recently to be in a Nissan to be a 1.6. And DCI has less problems going forward. Problem is, diesel is going out of fashion. Diesels are going to get cheaper very soon, particularly in the UK. I guarantee they're going to get cheaper in the UK because nobody wants them anymore. There's lots of emissions things coming. But out of those two, I would pick a Clio probably. But they're both French cars, and I see your username is 308 Allure HDI, which means you probably are dispossessed towards a Peugeot, but I don't know. Phaeton 2, yeah, go for the Phaeton, definitely. Awesome. Thanks, Bob. Also wondering, have you ever driven the latest Ford Fiesta ST? I think Fiesta ST, one of my favourite cars, all generations ever. It doesn't look like a fast car, but it's just great crack to drive 100% of the time. Slow or fast, it's good fun. Focus ST is too weird on the steering, so the Fiesta ST is a much nicer one of the group. Bob, is the 318D underpowered 150 brake horsepower? Yes, it is. BMW are in a funny place at the moment because they are transferring over to front wheel drive. They have this 4-wheel drive system and they've lost the impetus of rear wheel drive. They're now trying to take on Audi at their own game. Audi are the king of front wheel drive. Mercedes have moved towards the luxury end of the market, and so Audi are in this kind of, or BMW are in this kind of space in the centre of it. It doesn't make a lot of sense because they've got a little bit of everything. So the new 5 Series isn't quite as refined as the E-Class, and it's not quite as good to drive as an Audi A6 Quattro. It's kind of in betweeny, but I have to spend a week with a 5 Series yet. But my initial thoughts is that it's very capable, very good, but really only in the 730 diesel, and it's got to be 4-wheel drive to be even fun, which is really bad since I like rear-wheel drive a lot. So yes, in your answer to your question, the 318D is underpowered or will feel a little bit sluggish for what should be a premium product with great power in it. Dawn Salter from Portsmouth, UK. Keep up the good work. If your family give you output about the car before you test it, you take note of their opinions or not. All the best. Okay, so Don, I think the question you're asking me is if you're looking for a new car and if your family go, no, I don't like that car, you shouldn't buy that car. That's kind of true, generally speaking, and this is going to sound really sexist, okay? So a man goes out and he goes, I love Porsche 911 GT3 RS because it has 6 million horsepower and it goes 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. And then the wife will go, I don't like that car, we should buy a Peugeot 3008. And so they buy a Peugeot 3008, and that's generally what happens. And it's not that a wife chooses colour, it's a wife has an input as much as a man has an input or a husband has an input. The same can happen in reverse, and the same can happen to 2 husbands or 2 wives or whatever, you know. There's an input from the other side, and you've got to look at all reasons, unless you already have a decent family car, and then you're going out to buy something that's just crazy. Something for yourself, like a Fiat 124 or something. I'm still going back. I'm sorry, I'm falling behind a little bit. I'm already, there's so many asking questions. Great. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, and on the bottom of the screen you will find a link to my Patreon account, patreon.com/the next gear, where you can give money to keep this channel independent, so I get to say whatever the hell I want to say rather than having to worry about press releases. What do you make of Peugeots? I had a 508 SW a few years ago, but it had me a bit dated, although I think some of the smaller cars... Peugeot make good small cars. So Peugeot used to make the Peugeot 205, 206, 207, 208, right? And those brands of cars are really good. The 508 was okay. To drive, it was a lovely car, but lacked storage on the inside, and it still does, 508. So Peugeot kind of lost their way in the saloon market because they're going after the fleet market, and that means they have to kind of make everything very basic and very cheap. They make a good 3008, and they have a new one out that I've yet to drive, but it seems to be okay. It seems to be all right. I'm happy enough looking at it, but I don't know whether Peugeot really have that kind of future that works here. The French people seem to like them a lot, though. Hi Bob, new Kia Sorento or Kodiaq or Santa Fe? Kodiaq seems to be. I've only driven one. No, I've driven 2 of them, different engines, same spec though. Kodiaq seems to be a very high spec, kind of a luxury feel to the car, whereas the Sorento is more middle ground, and so is the Santa Fe. If you want size, I'd go Sorento. If you want a bit of sportiness, I'd go Santa Fe. If you want a longer warranty, I'd go with the Santa Fe, because I know it's 5 years, but it's unlimited mileage. Sorento is 7 years and limited to 100,000 kilometers. But the Skoda Kodiaq is still very good. Okay, very good. So don't remember that. Going back up. Sorry, JP. I hope that answered your question. Loved your review of the MX-5 from 3 years ago, but I got my MX-5 1.8 Venture Edition 2012 a few months ago and love it. Amazing handling. Are the new ones much different to drive? No, Rob, they're basically the same. Very, very little has changed. The exterior has changed a little bit. You will not really notice the difference between driving another MX-5, and that MX-5, Mazda are terrified to change it. Absolutely terrified to change the handling because we'll all give out stink at to change the handling. So basically it's the same. Just notice it just has an enormous blind spot. Not really, it's got a great big reversing camera. That covers the blind spot part. I'm collecting a 318 Sport on Tuesday, so tell you what I think. Yes, check it out. See what you think of the performance. You kind of have to jump out of that and jump into a bigger engine car to see the difference in performance. They're very good at disguising performance, but just not so great at covering it properly. Also had to run a 2013 Seat Leon and found it nicer than the equivalent Golf that is based on. What do you think? Yes, I do. I agree. Seat make nicer cars to drive than the Golf. The Golf is softer and more gentle to drive. It's a nicer thing. The Seats tend to be sharper and faster. Also, what do you think of the 2009-2012 Octavia VRS diesel or petrol? Diesel's going to go not out of fashion. It's going to be harder and harder to get emissions down on diesels, and older diesels particularly, they start failing NCTs. They kind of push that diesel point out. So I would go with petrol if I could, if you can afford it. If you can't, the seats don't look very comfortable at Suzuki. The seats are very comfortable. I drove to Limerick in this yesterday. Was it yesterday? I can't remember. Orbital Tube, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and click the like button up there. Bob, I'm living up north. What's the crack with these? What's the crack with diesel taxes? What do you think is going to happen? I heard something about cars pre-2006 being affected. Sorry if you covered this before. I haven't covered this before because it's particularly coming out of the UK, right? So there's new emission taxes coming for diesel engined cars. Car manufacturers have gone, hold up, we can't make these cars any more CO2 emissions. We've done everything we possibly can. AdBlue, DPFs, everything we can do. We've pushed the emissions as low as we can. The UK are still looking at going, no more diesels in the cities because it's the NOx and the CO2 is just climbing the walls of the building, coming back down onto the street, and it's killing everybody. And that's true. So they're looking at petrol, because petrol, you can get lower CO2 and lower NOx and lower emissions in general from a petrol engine car like this one, a 1.2 litre petrol. And so diesel will be coming to an end at some point, unless there's some massive change in the near future, but I don't think there will be. Bloody hell, I'm after falling way behind on the questions. I'm really sorry, I'm getting there, right. Hi Bob, thinking of buying a Skoda Kodiaq or new Peugeot 5008, but my wife thinks the SUVs are too fancy and wants a Ford S-Max. What do you think we should buy? Peugeot 5008 and a Ford S-Max aren't really far off the same car size-wise. The Galaxy is closer to the 5008. The S-Max is like the sporty Galaxy, so it's a little bit between the two. Kodiaq is much bigger, really, to drive than either of those two. So if your wife isn't comfortable with the immense bonnet thing, the big bonnet and the high up seating position, then you're restricted. The S-Max you'll be happier in because it's a more sporty look. The 5008 is a very, very practical car, and I think it's about the same size. So you want to keep the wife happy, you're going to get one of those two over there. You're going to keep yourself happy, the Kodiaq. She'll get used to it though. Everybody gets used to the bigger cars eventually. That was for Mike Connolly. Can't read your username. Current generation Mondeo Estate or Passat Estate? Like the Matrix inside my head now, trying to figure that one out. Passat Estate, Mondeo. Mondeo's ever so slightly bigger. Passat is much nicer to drive. Mondeo's a big slob of a thing until you get the bigger engine, particularly the 1.6. The 2 litre diesel is a nicer thing with the power shift and with all the doodads. It'd be really nice. I would go with Passat because you're probably never going to buy that top spec Mondeo. You're going to buy a mid-range Passat. Need to eat. Sorry. Oh, no problem. See you soon. Hello, Diablo, the Pork Master. If you sub me, type Flav and I sub back. What? Do what you like. This is a different place. I have a diesel BMW X1 in 3 years. Will electric be a viable option to replace? Don't really fancy petrol. Don't really like fancy. Electric's here now. There's a plenty of selection of electric cars coming to the market today that are out there right now. The big problem is Ireland and the infrastructure. Electric Ireland are just a joke when it comes to this. They went mad, they put them all in and then just forgot about the whole thing. Funding is stopped. Electric, certainly in 3 years time, Carl, you will have any amount of electric cars to choose from without a doubt. I like seat, says Diablo the Pokemaster. He means Ibiza. Say it, Ibiza. So say it. I never even thought about it. I always read seat whenever I see say it. Anyway, I like to say it, Ibiza. Yeah, I do, but I would have a preference for the Skoda Fabia over the say it, Ibiza. Automatic transmission. Automatic on a BMW. That was a BMW question, was it? Yes, absolutely. If you're going to buy a BMW, buy an automatic. The manuals are crap. I mean, they're just crap. There's only one manual car that they make, or one manual transmission they make that's actually pretty good. And they don't tend to put it into a 3 or 5 series. They only put it into 2 series. I do not have a car. Well done, Prince Players. Eventually you'll probably need one or have to have one. That's fine. Turning 21. God bless you, Anton. Well done. And thinking about getting my first generation Mazda MX-5. What's it like to drive? Haven't driven one yet. They're fabulous. Learn how to fix cars. Fortunately, the first generation Mazda MX-5 is actually very easy to work on. Lift the bonnet. Things you're looking out for in first generation. If it's a convertible, make sure all the seals are there. Literally bring a bottle of big water and pour it on the roof when it's closed. See if there's any leaks, right? You're looking for that. Other stuff that goes around, rear suspension tends to go. They tend to eat rear tyres. It's just the way they're driven. Not much else happens to them. They're pretty easy to work on and deal with and live with, as long as you're not, driving every single day with like 4 people in the car. It's not going to fit. See anything? Sorry, that was for Anton. Can't read your last name there, Anton. Michael O'Reilly was about to buy a Renault 1.5 diesel in a 2-car household, considering it an iconic electric due to the regulation with NOx levels down the line. And what do you think of? Yeah, I'm in for any electric car. The iconic is a little bit weird looking. I don't see. The problem is selling these things on in 3 or 4 years' time. It's a bit like Tesla. How do you get rid of a Tesla in 3 years' time? It's $100,000 car, like. So it's the same for the iconic. Who's going to buy it in 3 years' time? Will there be better batteries around? Will we have better range, and you'll have to upgrade your battery even to sell the bloody thing? This is all the questions that doesn't work out. I'd have no problem with any electric car, but I would probably, at the moment only, I would buy the cheapest electric car I could find. If I had to buy a new one, I'd probably buy a used one, though, in fairness. And just drive it till it falls apart, and then don't worry about it. What's your opinion on the new Ford Fiesta? Really good value, Anthony Hamilton, for the new Ford Fiesta. I quite like it. It's one of the best looking small cars in that segment, although I particularly like this Suzuki Ignis that I'm sitting in. I know it looks like the thing from the car, the Subaru from Breaking Bad, but I don't care. Picked up my new Seat Ateca 1.4 TSI last weekend, and I'm loving it. See what you mean about Seat as a driver's car, even as compact SUV. It is, you see, I'm always right, Jim. Absolutely always right. I know when you're going to spend 25, 30 grand on a car. Come and talk to Father Flav. What's the crack, horse? I don't know, Darren. What's the crack? Would you buy? Please shout out to me. If you do, I will make a parody someday on my channel. Parody. Banana Man 74. Hello, Banana Man 74. Congratulations. Welcome to Father Flav's Sunday service. Did I see you posting about Tesla? Are they opening in Ireland? They certainly are, Lee Moore. They have a dealership in Sandyford in Dublin. They have invited me up to drive all of their vehicles, and I'll be up there, I don't know if it's not next week, 1 or 2 weeks, whatever it is from now. I'll be up there driving all of their cars, and I'll certainly review everything they've got. Expect pure honesty, and that's why you see patreon.com/the next gear. Give money there, and I can be totally independent, say whatever the hell I like. So expect proper reviews, and thinking about future value and stuff as well. There's a fellow looking in the window at me. What do you want? No, go away. Right. Do you think the Skoda Superb is the best large saloon? Best. Don't know about that one, but it's best. It's certainly a good large saloon. Don't know about best. Very hard to pick best in large saloons these days because they're just all pretty good. Can't understand from 20 to Mike Conley, sorry. She had a Land Rover Freelander, still doesn't want an SUV. Well, maybe she just got her wires crossed. Large SUVs might just terrify her because it's a big car. They're big cars. And some people like the idea of being able to see the end of the bonnet. Other people don't want to see the bonnet at all. No interest in it. So just remember that. I have a toy Ferrari Italia. Will that do? It certainly will. If you have your toys, your dioramas, or anything else that you have that's vehicle related, if you like vehicles, you're in the right place. Don't forget, In about 20 minutes, the Formula 1 starts. I don't watch Formula 1, but I just remember Channel 4 this morning shouting about it every 5 seconds. Have you ever driven an E46 2003 model M3? What are your thoughts? 2000, I'm trying to remember which one that is. 2003. Yeah, 2003. That's the kind of square one. The next model on from that is the nicer one of the two, I think. I'm trying to do all this remembering, don't forget. But all M3s are brilliant in their own way, right? Just in their own way. You kind of got to use them. They're very hard to work on, though, Stephen, and incredibly expensive when they go wrong. Barry, hi Bob. What's the story, man? What's the story? What's the best 7-seater around at the moment? 7-seater. Skoda Kodiaq is 7-seater. We like SUVs. The Peugeot 5008 is very, very good. Very practical. Ford Galaxy, Ford S-Max are also fairly good. The problem with all of them is that the last 2 seats in the last row are built for children only, right? You're not really going to get an adult in there. Although I can remember distinctly getting a taxi in the UK with 7 of us in the car, and it was a Ford Galaxy. Isn't every taxi in the UK a Ford Galaxy? The best kind of 7-seater around at the moment is probably a van. If you really want a proper 7-seat, something like a Volkswagen, what do you call that, Volkswagen Transporter thing? One of them is Caravelle, something like that. Because they're proper. I know there's more than 7 seats, 9 seats, whatever in them, but they're actually going to take 9 individual people. Whereas the 7 seats are out there right now are kind of 5 plus 2 occasional seats, most of them. But I would pick a Ford Galaxy or a Volkswagen. What's the big Volkswagen called? Whatever the biggest Volkswagen is called. Charan, I think it's called. Ross Buggy. I know that you love the 6 Series. You're right. A Grand Coupe. Look, I'm all blown out on one side. Why is that? White balance just doesn't work on these things. But completely objective view, what do you think is the better car for my dad, who's 58? The 6 Series Grand Coupe or an S-Class? If your dad has a pulse, Ross, he'll want the 6 Series Grand Coupe. The S-Class is just a barge on wheels, right? It just doesn't, they're not quite comparable. So the 7 Series, like an S-Class. The 6 Series Grand Coupe is like, a sporty version of the 7 Series, right? Or sporty version of the 6 Series or whatever, that way around. S-Class would be slightly more comfortable, but if he's got, like I say, if he's got a pulse, you're going to need to think about that very carefully, because the S-Class is totally different. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Congratulations, well done. Sins are good for your soul. That's the way to have you, because the more little sins you build up, the better you feel about life in the first place. I think they said that diesel and petrol engines will be replaced with electric ones. Yeah, not yet. It won't happen. Not in this country, it won't happen. Not for another few years. But car sales are falling off a cliff, in fairness to them. I ended up buying a new Mazda 3 1.5 petrol last month. Rejected it due to paint defects done during the PDI. Waiting on another new one and a 2.2 diesel. Well done. That's good. I'm glad that and first of all, hats off there for the car company in not putting up a great big fight over rejecting it from PDI. That's okay. That's good. That's what you should do. So congratulations on that to whoever the dealership is for the Mazda dealer. But it'd be lovely to see where has that car gone. It shouldn't really for paint defects. It's terrible, isn't it? 14 Nissan Leaf. 10,000 miles, about 11k euro no VRT, up north. It says Rodney. Well done, Rodders. Sorry, I bet you get that all the time. 11,000 euro no VRT. Is there no VRT on a Nissan Leaf? Really? No way. Hello, I'm new here. What's happening? What's this about, lol? Happy Easter. Well done. Congratulations. You're getting the swing of it. See, when you come and you ask questions in the comments about what's going on right now, I read them out. I'm like Ron Burgundy. What's your favourite car interior? Don't really have a favourite car interior. Don't really care. Audi make the best interiors, just the way things operate together, and they still do. Go now and clean my trike. That's what I'm going to do. Your trike. Right. Oh, the trike thing. Yeah. I'll come and drive your trike. I think you can drive a trike on a car license, can you? Best luck with the freelancing. Thanks very much, Craig. I am actually looking out for a job as well, so don't think the freelancing is the only thing. So I am looking for work too. Hello from Stratford upon Avon, UK, the home of Shakespeare. Well done. Your language is very nice, and you've capitalised it absolutely perfectly. That's very good. Apart from the K in the kingdom. Hey Bob, love your Sunday service. What's the best driver-focused car you've ever driven? Probably picking it up tomorrow is a Volkswagen Golf GTI. That focuses almost exclusively on the driver. I would buy a Ford Focus RS, but it's just, wow. Actually, I'd probably buy a Ford Mustang, in fairness to them. Don't forget, Ford are 100 years in the country. How could you forget that? It's on every goddamn station. They have bought absolutely everything out. But I'll be down in Cork next week to celebrate the 100 years down in the Cork factory, which would be quite nice. So I'll be down with the Cork boys. Bob, how does BMW iDrive system compare with the competition? It's not as good as Audi's system, but it's getting better. It's getting less complicated, a little bit less complicated. But it's all right. Yeah, it's all right. It'll be better in a couple of years, put it that way, once they figure out the automated driving things. Hi Bob, how do you think about the new Nissan Micra? I try not to think about Nissan Micra as much as I can, although the new one looks a lot better than the ones before it. The problem is that Micra and its equivalent are built to service the rental car market, not really the retail market. The retail ones start much further up the queue, so it's going to get better. But I'm still not convinced that Micra's the car in that segment that's good. Barry, how does the Kodiaq compare to its Seat sister? The Kodiaq's much bigger, Barry. It's on a longer chassis, still using the same MQB chassis, same Volkswagen system inside of it. The Seat one is much more focused on driving. It's a 5-door practical little runabout thing. The Kodiaq is much bigger. Feels broader on the road, much softer as well. I would pick the Seat. It's probably going to be a lot cheaper. I'd pick the Seat for myself, but I don't need 7 seats. Totally good on the dealer starting. Well done. That's very good. I'm glad that Mazda looking after you. That's what it should be doing. Just dealer servicing. That's what should happen. Why is a Renault Twizy more expensive to insure than a VW Golf? Because you'll be killed stone dead in a Renault Twizy without a shadow of a doubt if you're hit by a midget in the face. Sorry, Renault, but the Renault Twizy is just, it was a brilliant idea. Brilliant for Paris. But can you imagine a Renault Twizy on the M50? Seriously, you would just be squashed like a bug. That's why it's so expensive to insure. Plus, it's electric and insurance companies don't care about them. Driver Logic, can't wait for the Golf GTI. I'm picking it up, not tomorrow because it's bank holiday here, the day after tomorrow. Picking it up for a few days. I think I have a Mazda 3 or something as well next week. Leaf has no VRT because no CO2, but there's little limit on the value of the car. Alright, so there's no VRT on a Leaf because there's no CO2, but yet you have to pay motor tax, which is based on CO2 for a Leaf. There's no CO2. Chat next Sunday, I'll update you and I'll finish the 318. Yes, come on. Send us a picture or something of the 318 and we'll put it up on our video somewhere. Must be 6 months old and VRT 5k grant with market value not a problem. So that's Rodney from the... I didn't know this. Electric cars with no VRT. This is very interesting news. Hi Bob, what do you think about the upcoming Tesla 3? Do you think we'll motor and turning point? Not really, Steve. It has to come out. The problem is to go from $100,000 Tesla that they're making right now to a $40,000 Tesla is quite a gulf using the same kit and things, you know. So either you got to make a really cheap Tesla, which is completely against what Tesla make, or you've got to make very cheap parts to go into the Tesla. So it's hard to figure out where they're going to go. But again, you have to have support, you have to have dealer support, you have to have all that stuff in place before you can sell a bloody car anyway. So it's all I want. We are, by the way, motoring turning point, that happened last year. We're still on this motoring turning point. This is where we transfer all of these petrol and diesel cars onto electric and onto other fuel sources. We got to get there. We cannot continue consuming the earth the way we're doing now. It's running out. Fuel and oil and all that stuff, that causes wars. We got to stop doing this. We got to stop consuming it in the volume we're consuming it. Killstone Dead and Twizy. I'm not joking. Honestly, I've driven Twizzies. They're lovely. They're like driving a go-kart, but God almighty, you will be absolutely massacred because you're not allowed on the footpath on them for a start, even though they're about the same size as one of those wheelchair, not electric wheelchair things. Nearly the same size as that, just got a roof on it. Murdered on it. Forget about it. Not enough horsepower and they're too short a range as well. Hi Bob, new Sorento, Kodiaq or Santa Fe? God, that's like the most asked question today. I'd go with the Kodiaq out of that list. Wow, long question. Okay. Hi Bob, how thoughts on a RAV4 2014, 2015, or would CHR be better choice for herself? Herself, I mean your wife, like. and for myself. 2016 Honda Civic diesel, or hold off and try the new shape. So, the new shape Honda Civic, I don't know what it is about it. It looks very weird. It's very strange, especially in black. I just can't wrap my head around the look of the thing. I can't imagine a Honda Civic 1 litre petrol being any good. Seriously. 1.5 I think would be okay though. I think I have one of them booked in soon. I'm going to the airport with it. CHR I would pick over the RAV4, thanks, just because I like the CHR a lot. Very, very pretty. RAV4 would look boring right beside it. Simple as that. And herself would be very happy in it. Any, what? Vet loopholes you know of? What vet loopholes? VRT, is that what you're going to say? VRT loopholes? No, there is no loopholes. No. They've got them all sewn up. You do VRT in this country, you got to bring your car to the NCT centre, and unless you can get someone to say it hasn't got leather seats, or bring it here and take the leather seats out and turn up the NCT with cloth seats and do that. It's the only ones I can think of. VRT in a new X5 is 32 grand. Well, don't buy an X5. That's how that works. By the way, VRT in this country, for anyone who's not from this country, is vehicle registration tax. So to import a car from any other country, despite us being in Europe, despite us being part of one market in this country, if you want to buy a car in France and you bring it to Ireland, you can do that if you want, but to get a registration plate here, you have to pay a special tax, of which them bastards in Fianna Fáil brought in. Bertie Ahern and his ilk brought it in this country as a protectionist level to make sure that dealerships here wouldn't go out of business, because we would all go in droves and buy our car in Amsterdam. And instead of creating a competitive market for us, they nailed us to the wall, and we've been nailed to the wall ever since. And all of the yes men of other car review places, or places that come up with books or whatever about cars, all go, well, we can't give it a VRT now because you value every car on the road. Couldn't give a shit, to be honest with you. VRT is a stealth tax, and it's absolutely dreadful the way we are treated in this country, and it's all down to Bertie Ahern. So there you go now, and he might be the next bloody president of Ireland. We seem to be a time where car manufacturers are again moving so-called smaller cars up to the range and inserting smaller ones below them, just a method of getting more cash. Well, yeah, kind of, Paul. Car manufacturers have to adapt and understand of what the market is required, and then sometimes they have to make a market, so that they have to identify a place where a car doesn't exist right now and try and design a car to fit that market. So they kind of, like, if you look at even BMW is a good example because it still use numbers. So it's like there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'll probably bring out an 8 at some point, and then there's an X version of all of those cars again. So like they've at least 16 models there straight off without even trying. So yeah, they got to identify their market. They're in business to make money, not to make good cars. Yes, you can drive in a full license if you want, no problem. Message me on Facebook. Darren, I can go up and drive a trike, stick a camera on the side of it and see what happens, and see how fast I crash it. Hi Bob, Kieran here. Any chance you might be reviewing the Golf 1 litre TSI soon? I have it booked in. I just don't have enough arses to get into all the cars at the moment. I'll ring Volkswagen and see if I can get a little kind of day out. And there is a kind of an orange one on the market at the moment. 1 litre in a big car, and that is a big car. Whether you like it or not, you stand a Volkswagen Golf beside a Mark 1 Volkswagen Golf, it dwarfs it. So just be on the safe side, just be careful about whether you're going to go 1 litre or not. If you're going to go 1 litre, you want something in kind of this size car, believe it or not. Paul Gibbons, hi Bob, what insurance do you use for testing cars you drive? Do manufacturers cover you, or do you have your own? Manufacturers cover me, Paul. They insure me up to 10 million or something like that. I don't know, some crazy sort of an insurance scheme that goes with it. It's kind of like car dealerships that have all the sales staff on their insurance. Same sort of principle for me. Dealer told me to order one now for Kodiak in August. Yeah, I know there's a bit of a waiting list for the Kodiak, boys. I'm telling you, the Kodiak is going to be a good seller, but I just be aware that it's going to be a long road for car dealerships. If you're not getting a good deal from a car dealership right now, they should be rolling out the red carpet. They should be giving you coffee and biscuits and all that sort of stuff. That's what should be going on at the moment, because car sales are falling off a cliff and they need to bring people in and keep them there. What electric car would you recommend that's available right now? I would buy a used Nissan Leaf. I just would. They're a nice car. They're all right. The reason I buy a used one is because electric cars are moving forward very quickly. There's a lot of emphasis right now on electric cars and battery technology and all this sort of stuff. And so to buy a brand new Leaf in 3 years' time, will the range be big enough on that? Because you might have to drop the battery out and put in a bigger battery, maybe new charging systems around. It's all sorts of ins and outs. So buy what's cheapest as electric cars go. No problem, Gav. Skoda Octavia Diesel DSG or Ford Mondeo Diesel Auto New. I'd go with the Auto box of the Mondeo, but I'd prefer the Octavia to drive, Kenneth. The Octavia is a nicer drive in general. Mondeo feels quite heavy, but the power shift box in a Ford is absolutely gorgeous, delicious thing to drive. It's every bit as good as DSG, without a doubt. A nicely kitted Mondeo, and it's going to be a fairly expensive kit now, but nicely kitted Mondeo is exceptionally good to drive. Boring, but good. Octavia is generally, even in its most basic form of DSG, is going to be a better thing to drive in general. So go with the Skoda Octavia. What do you think of the new Mazda MX-5 or F? Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Well done, Morgan. What do you think of the Mazda MX-5? MX-5 is, in all its guises, very good. But I would have preference to go for the most basic convertible MX-5 that you can get, because you have the best driving experience. What you buy an MX-5 for is the driving experience, the daily use. You don't buy it to drive to a track. You don't. That's later in its life. So buy a Bogo standard MX-5 and tart the whole off it. Spend the extra on getting better alloys or something. Bob, the white Cooper ST you drove and is still for sale, 25 grand. I am so tempted for the wrong time to buy such a beast of a yoke. No, it's never the wrong time to buy a beastly car. Absolutely not. It's always the right time. 25 grand for a Cooper ST is like peanuts. You'll have great crack in that yoke forever, and you keep all of the family happy, and you keep the mother-in-law happy, and you keep whoever it is that you want to keep happy, including yourself, because you're in a 5-door estate or a hatchback, and they'll all be happy driving around in it. Seat Riverside Hull dealership absolutely useless. So there you are now, Party Pooper. Party Pooper's opinion is that Seat Riverside in Hull is a useless dealership. So now, I don't know why. That's not me saying that, that's whoever Party Pooper is. Kieran says, good man, Bob. There were no coffee and biscuits in a dealership I visited. I said in my email to you yesterday, why are some salespersons so grumpy? Correct, Kieran. Kieran sent me a wonderful email yesterday explaining that he was in a dealership, a Ford dealership. I won't name the dealership, but in a Ford dealership, because everybody's experience is different, and you might run into somebody you don't like, and sometimes you just kind of feel a bit fractious and people don't get on. Dealerships at the moment, unfortunately, are scrambling for the pickings. Okay, as 172 is on the way, the big sales point is over. Sales were down by a considerable amount, and so at this point, it's time to demand more from a dealership. It really is. They have the claws out for every inch of the market. I see containers and trucks coming on the road constantly with English reg plates written all over them, and they're all heading straight to main dealership franchise systems. So the used car market is full of used cars here that have all been checked. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty right with that. It's great. The dealer's taking all the chances on the cars, but if they're not giving you the treatment you want, if they don't have the car you're looking for, they're not interested in dealing with you, or they think you're there for a tire kick, go somewhere else. Don't even think twice about it. And don't dismiss the used car dealers, the little guys in the back streets either. They're not always as bad, right? So if you run into a grumpy salesperson, walk away. Just walk away. It's not your problem. Do you like Easter eggs? I love Easter eggs, Blue Waffle. Absolutely love them, but only this time of the year. You can pig out today. I went for a 10k run this morning, so I'm allowed pig out today, right? Do you have a toll e-flow tag? No, I don't. Although I have used them. They do come sometimes in press cars. I can't remember who puts them in. Somebody puts them in sometimes in a press car. And so I have used them, but I haven't dealt with a toll other than I pay cash at tolls. So don't do anything else. What would you choose? A Volvo V90 or Mercedes E-Class? E-Class. 100% Tom. It's much more refined. Volvo V90 is lovely, but it's really rather boring. It's boring. It's meant to be boring. It's designed to be boring. That's what it should be. Disconnected and boring. E-Class requires no explanation. You pull up outside of anyone's house at a dinner party or going out or going anywhere and in an E-Class, you don't need to explain it. You pull up in a Volvo, you're going to have to go, yeah, I'll drive a Volvo. I like Volvo. I like to be safe. Like your hair, where do you get it cut? My hair, any barber. That's just short back and sides and leave a little bit of length at the top and then just spike it up, man. You need to have, I can't remember the hair gel stuff. It's in a yellow bottle. It's made by Schwarzkopf, and I bought it. The first time I bought it was I bought it in New York, but I've used it ever since. It's very good. Is the well-kitted Mondeo auto and a good family car with 3 kid seats or the VW Touran? Touran is going to be much better there, Roddy. 3 full-size seats will fit in the Touran. I know it's not going to look as nice as a Mondeo, but it's definitely going to take those seats that you're after. It definitely does fit. I've had the Touran here with kids scattered all over the place again. So yeah, definitely, Roddy, go for the Touran with that one, not the Mondeo. What car are you in? Answer, man. I'm catching up on impatient. There's millions of questions here. There's so many people watching at the moment. I am in a Suzuki Ignis. It's a tiny little Ignis. What car do you own? A Seat Leon, 1.6 litre petrol. And it's a very nice car. Hello. Some dude walked by. I don't recognise him. Sure, that's alright. I love Easter eggs. You might die of a heart attack today. I know you won't die of a heart attack. Not one day. It's coffee, and it's in a Bridgestone Drive Guard cup, which Bridgestone gave me at some point or another. I don't know why. This is a coffee, but I'm a funny kind of a tea coffee drinker. I get up in the morning, tea. If I'm at home, it has to be tea. If I'm away in a hotel, it has to be coffee because the tea is always shite. But then from there on out, the rest of the day, then it has to be kind of coffee. Unless I'm having a biscuit or something, then I'll have a cup of tea. How old are you, mate? It's Blue Waffle. I'm 45. I'm literally ancient to be on YouTube, but I've been here for a long time. I'm very old in comparison to most people on YouTube. Yeah, Blue Waffle, turn off your cap lock, man. It's like you're shouting across the universe to me. But it's okay. I'm used to it all. What's the best car your dad had? My father was a bit of a car nut, I suppose, in some ways. He never didn't collect cars, but he had a few cars. So the first car he had was a Mark I Ford Escort. It's the first one I even remember photographs of. I think he had it before I was born, though. It was a 2-door Escort. He won it, or my mother won it, from Purcell, believe it or not. It was in the 60s. So Mark I. Then we got a Vauxhall Viva. That was the greatest piece of shit ever. It really was. Vauxhall Viva was fun though. It was a lovely looking car. I've seen a few of them around since. Blue Waffle, if you're going to play, you're going to mess around like that, honestly, seriously, you're going to end up banned. I'll ban you if you keep that up. And Downey, thingamajig, sorry lads, back in a second now. You're just going to ban you anyway, right? So bye. What do we have after that? Then my father went through a very strange time. He bought a Renault 12, a TL. It was in prosthetic limb beige. And then he took that and changed that out for exactly the same car again. It came home, was very annoyed, but didn't notice he bought a new car. But Renault 12 was quite nice. Renault 16 with LPG conversion and a second 16 for parts. Spot on, Rodney. That's a really good idea. I've got a Suzuki Ignis too. I had a serious problem buying it though from the dealership. What was the serious problem, Callum? Tell us. Callum Sweet has a problem buying Suzuki. Why would you have a problem buying a car from Suzuki? The big problem I have with Suzuki is the Pioneer stereo that's in the front. It's rubbish. It's really hard to use. It's really little tiny buttons and things. Suzuki, seriously, sort out that stereo. Get something better. Surely you can do better than... I'm not saying better than Pioneer. Pioneer make great stereos, but as an aftermarket, if I'd have bought a second-hand car, if that was in my 2006 Seat Leon, I'd be happy as Larry. But this is a 2017 Suzuki Ignis, and it's got an aftermarket stereo in it. No. But the rest of the car is deadly. Whatever you can afford, Blue Waffle is the one to buy for your first car. As always, that's all I tell everybody. It's the cheapest thing you can afford, the cheapest of insurance, cheapest tax, and something that'll pass the test, the MOTs, the NCTs. Hi Bob, a 2-year-old, say E-Class diesel or a new diesel Skoda Superb. 2-year-old E-Class. Yeah, I'd go 2-year-old E-Class still. It still would. Just because, again, it requires a bit more kudos when you're driving an E-Class. But still, a new Skoda Superb wouldn't be too bad. But think about Octavia as well, guys. I know lots of people go for the Superb because its great value is huge, but it's an old man's car as well. You know, it's kind of big. It's a very big car. Massive thing. Are cat eyes redundant these days? Yeah, I'm sure we have better technology around to get the same idea down the centre of roads. They are kind of stupid in that they come up and they fall off, and you know, half of them aren't working most of the time, so it's kind of ridiculous. But it was a nice idea, but we don't really need them. We have different kinds of paint and stuff now. Get a good warranty with the Merc. Yeah, I know Mercedes can be very expensive. God almighty when something goes wrong. But then all cars are expensive when something seriously goes wrong. Mercedes, I don't get very many emails about Mercedes cars breaking down much. And when they do, I don't ever get an email complaining about the dealerships not fixing them. I think the system is okay only with Android Auto. I had problems because I was attached to it because last I had free insurance. I told after I bought the car I didn't qualify. Oh, alright, okay. So you're supposed to get free insurance for a year, but then after you bought the car they told you didn't qualify for free insurance. Well, that's really nice, Callum. That's probably some in a term and condition somewhere. I've tested out Android Auto. I've tested out the Apple CarPlay, which doesn't work at all on this thing. It's a funny system, and it just feels outdated. What do you think of motorcycles? Says someone with an username I can't pronounce. Motorcycles. So, where am I with that? I love looking at them. I love listening to them and watching them screaming by in groups of guys. And usually motorcycle guys are fairly mature like myself and they're a bit of fun. But generally speaking, I've never had a massive desire to drive motorbikes. So I've never really got around to getting into the whole thing. I'd love to do a video on learning how to ride a motorbike and things. It'd be a bit of crack, but I just don't know whether I could be bothered, if I'm honest. Bob, what do you think of the Jaguar XFS? Jaguar are going on a very strange route, aren't they? Everybody's going on about how good Jaguar is. But actually, they're making quite cheap cars now. But it's interesting. Like, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. We need to sell cars to make money, but they're owned by a Chinese company, aren't they? I don't remember who they're called now. But they seem, Jaguar are going on a good route and a bad route all at the same time. They're making a lot of cars. We'll see in 3 or 4 years' time whether they can keep up with the volume of cars they put out, and whether the gamble pays off. That's the trick of Jaguar. But they make some really good cars. I'm quite happy with the look and the feel of the cars in general. But it doesn't take me very long to find the cheaper materials being used. You mentioned before that you hate the Nissan Tida. Why so? Because it's the ugliest looking thing that ever was created. And can you imagine sitting in an office and going to your design team that we need a car and we need a 4-door saloon, but it needs to look a little bit like a 5-door hatchback, kind of. And we need to sell it in India and, go for it, make that. And then they come back with a design and you go, no, that's not ugly enough. Make it uglier. And then we might sell it. That's what Nissan did, really. Where were we? Right, okay. I really like the weird design in the Ignis, but my father says that it seems to be for a younger audience. Dunno. How could it be for a younger audience? I mean, for me, this car is ideal as a family car. It's got a decent boot, decent back seat, 2 front seats that work. It's got air conditioning. It's got cruise control. It's got a 1.2 litre petrol engine. It's got everything, and it's really economical. And I'm driving around the town and no shopping bag hooks in it though. Oh my God, there's no shopping bag hooks in the boot. What were you thinking of, say it? What? Or Suzuki. God, cop on. I think the Ignis is one of the nicer cars. Do you have internet car brokers in Ireland? We've used them in the UK for the last few years and have saved a lot of money. Cars supplied by dealers. No, well, we do kind of, but not really direct sales. Not really. We had a few who tried, but Irish people are deeply suspicious of car dealerships and deeply suspicious of buying a car from people who don't know. So a lot of these things don't succeed for years and you need a lot of money to keep it going. So yeah. Jaguar Land Rover are owned by Tata Motors, which, I mean, look at what else Tata make, right? And then come back to me and tell me that Jaguar are doing the right thing. Do you think the Jaguar I-Pace will be popular? I think anything that Jaguar tried to do, because English people are still hung up on the Jaguar thing being the ultimate Jag and the drive your life and all this sort of stuff that you have in the UK. And yet, Nissan is more UK than Jaguar, if I'm honest, when it comes to money. But at the same time, Jaguar do a really, really good job with the cars that they have. I do like the direction they're taking. As long as Tata keep giving them the money to do what they're doing, they're going to be successful. If at any point to have a board meeting and Tata goes, you know what, we can't give you all that money, we need to make more profit, then you'll find that Jaguar will be under massive pressure, a bit like Saab were. Saab are constantly under pressure. Saab's still on the go, by the way. Not, they don't make cars, but they're still, the name is out there. Okay, so Callum was only driving for a year, so they wouldn't insure him. They couldn't get the free insurance out of it. That is a shame. It's unfortunate. It does happen. It does unfortunately happen. Terms and conditions can absolutely kill a deal dead, and that can happen as well. Watching you on a phone in a landscape mode in the comments are overlaid in your face. If you sat in the passenger seat, it wouldn't hide your mush. Oh, sorry, Colin. For me, it's the other way around. The comments are on that side of the screen here, and my face is over here. So I'm only going on what I can see. So sorry, I can't change seats now. Jens Hammond Sorensen, seems that the B segment cars were the most excitement new cars come from right now. Yes, it is. There's excitement in every level, but these smaller cars with smaller petrol engines and anything just ever so slightly bigger than these, so into the 5-door hatch, is where the real competition is happening right now. The other end of the market, it's just all about tech. Literally all about the latest sat nav or the latest active cruise control or whatever. That's where that other end of the market is the whole time. Last week I went to a car show and they said they had the Giulia Stelvio. They said they were so beautiful. Last week I went to a car show and they had the new Alfa Giulia Stelvio and they're so beautiful. Oh yeah, sorry, I couldn't read that properly. Alfa Giulia, yes. Alfa Giulia is absolutely gorgeous car. Still waiting for a longer drive of the thing. I will have one soon. I'm going to see Radiohead when they're in the country. I think I'm driving to Giulia that week. Bob, does a warranty transfer to new owner if bought a car privately? Sometime it wouldn't. Kieran, the original warranty, so when you buy a car and it's got a 3-year warranty, that is on the car, not on the driver. So that lasts for the 3 years, whether the car transfers or not. So even through a new car. If the owner has bought an extended warranty, that's where things can fall apart on you. So if you bought a warranty from, like, you could buy, I think you buy 8 years or something off some of the car companies, but it's not through the car companies themselves. It's through an insurance company, so that won't transfer. But the original one does transfer, yes, and they have to. So, by the way, anyone living in the EU, if you bought a car in, doesn't matter, France, and it has a 5-year warranty on it, and you come to live in Ireland, that 5-year warranty still exists right here in this country. It has to be by law in the Europe. Have you ever driven the Skoda Citigo? I love the Citigo, Callum. Absolutely. It's one of my all-time favourite things. The Ignis, though, has replaced it as the car I would actually buy for my family. This is just a little bit more practical in here. It's like Suzuki had a look at what Skoda and Seat now are doing with their cars. Man, that's a good idea. And Suzuki are very good at small cars. Look at the stuff they do in Japan. Look at the little micro cars they do in Japan. Amazing stuff. Tata will keep funding JLR. They're one of the most profitable car companies on the planet. Tata have turned them around. Ford made a hash of it. Correctamundo, Morgan. You're dead right. Tata, like I say, I'm only pointing out that all of these advancements that Jaguar make are fabulous, but they only exist because Tata gave them a shed load of cash to go and play with, and they've come good out of it. But that's not to say that things won't, if they don't continue to adapt and change and the market moves or anything changes in the market, and it can make things an awful lot more difficult for a car company straight away. The new 3008 looks so fancy for a Peugeot. Also, have you seen the new Citroen C5 Aircross? I haven't seen the Aircross. Well, I've seen it, obviously pictures of it, but I haven't actually seen it in the metal, so I don't know about that. But the new 3008 does look really fancy and full of electrics, which fills me full of fear for Peugeot, for French cars. They don't tend to do electrics very well. I'm sure you've all done it. You've all been behind some French car and he presses the brakes or turns on the indicator and all the lights on one side of the car start to flash for no apparent reason. It's just weird. What's the biggest motor group dealership in Ireland? Probably Joe Duffy will be one of the bigger ones. Windsor Motors will be another bigger one as well. They're like big motor groups. I think that's about it. They're the two biggest ones as far as I know. I'm not too sure after that though, Didi. How long have you been doing this job for and how did you get into it? I've been doing this job for nearly a decade. And that's from Steve Bailey, and I started by reviewing second-hand cars for my own website, thenextgear.com, which I haven't updated in so long. I really got to go back and update that thing. I've been concentrating completely on videos all the time. So how do you get into it? So what I did was I reviewed second-hand cars, and then I started to email car manufacturers. Actually, the first time I got a press car, I was emailed by a car manufacturer, and they offered me a press car. So I kind of did it that way around. Now, I don't know whether you get away with doing that now. You kind of have to have an audience now, but back then that was the way to do it. Frank Keane, yeah, there you go. Frank Keane would have the other one, would have the other bigger dealership as well. Would a Seat Leon like yours be a good first car? It would. Yes, they're worth a fortune. They're a brilliant car, absolutely fabulous. I'm not selling mine. No, but yes, it would be a very good first car. But it is a bit big. It's 1.6 litre petrol. I would tend to kind of veer more towards the smaller, more dingable car. So try that one. Callum, my last car was the Citigo, and I loved it as well. First, really missed the Citigo after I bought my new car. Starting to grow me. You'll get used to trust me. You'll get used to this little Suzuki Ignis. The Citigo is basically the same as the Me and the Up, and yet, at least in Greece, the Up sells for a lot more. The Up sells here for the most amount of money as well. There's a little kind of a staggered up. The Seat being the cheapest, the Skoda being the next one, and then the Up being the most pricey from the three. I don't know why they're exactly the same car with the same kit in them, but it's just badge. It's badge. Ford told Tata that they were useless, which is quite ironic considering Ford sold JLR to them 10 years later. Yeah, I know, that's what usually happens. It's the same now, kind of. Companies like SsangYong or whatever will be kind of, oh God, there's such snobbery, they're not worth useless cars. You get them in 5 or 6 years and they're going to be like the new Hyundai. Don't forget that 10, 15 years ago, Hyundai and Kia were a joke in this country. They're not laughing now. They're the number one sales in the country. I do have a really annoying rattle in the Ignis when I go over bumps. It comes from the back and I can't figure it out. Do you have this? No, there's absolutely not a sound from the shock as I'm driving along. It is... you'll find, look, it'll probably settle down over time. You find a brand new car, and I do find it in this as well. All these cars need to be running. Things need to settle down after your first service, so your second service tends to settle down anyway. Do you have those first videos you made reviewing cars on YouTube or somewhere else? I thought they were there somewhere. I don't know. You know the latest video I put out, which is Just Say Yes. If you look at that one, in that you'll see me standing in an orange top, standing at the back of a Seat Leon. That's my Seat Leon. That was the very first video I ever tried out to review, see how we could do things. And it was done on a DVR kind of handheld camera thing, which is a little old one. But no, I don't think I have them. I don't have them on YouTube. I don't even have them anymore even. I think they're gone. They were originally on YouTube. There's one or two of them there, yeah. Some of the older ones, but there's a lot of copyright crap went on years ago as well on YouTube where you couldn't put music on, you couldn't put this on, it was just banned for use. Hi Bob, I've noticed a lot of road noise in Skoda Octavia diesel. Do you know a similar car that's quieter? A lot of road noise? I never got road noise in Skoda Octavia diesel. That'd be from the tyres. You're getting road noise, probably the wrong tyres. Similar car but quieter. I wouldn't say it'd be much quieter than that, to be honest with you. That's about as quiet as Skoda Octavia gets. Dude in the bike. Good man. I am Korean. Well done. Congratulations. How's North Korea going? Are they not shooting missiles over your head or something? Looking forward to the Kia Stinger. Looks great. Yeah, me too, actually. Although Kia tends to mess up the handling of a car. Such a shame. Where is the country? Ireland. I'm in Ireland. In Asia. What's in Asia? I'm just confused now. I'm in the middle of someone else's conversation. Oh my God, other people are talking to each other and I'm in the middle of that. Hyundai i10 or Suzuki Ignis? I would go with Suzuki Ignis. The i10 is actually quite nice. I do like it. Used to be called the Atos, wasn't it? Hyundai Atos. Yeah, it's alright. It's not a bad car. And like any of those cars, they're all very similar. And I'm of an opinion that I like I walked out to the car park in Limerick the other day, multi-story. Came out on the flat and I could see the Ignis from the far side, completely on the other side. I could see it as clear as a bell because it's an unusual shape. It's an unusual thing. Resale value, Hyundai. Yeah, look, they all... resale value now is predicted by economy. You know, PCP now has put this perfect value on all future cars and they depreciate by percentages. It's all predictable. So they're literally ruining the second-hand car market in negotiations. So we'll all have to go back to buying cars privately. I've only ever bought one car from a dealership, by the way. I mean, the main dealer, brand new car. That's the Seat Leon that I own. Every other car I've ever owned, I bought privately. Okay? And I've never had a problem. Never. And I know a lot of people crack up and tell me, oh, you can't be careful going to dealerships. You just got to use your head, you know. You got to bring someone with you who knows about cars. Now, fortunately, I know a little bit about cars, so I can open a bonnet and understand what I'm looking at. And I'll be looking for particular things and oil leaks and wet sumps and, you know, drive belts that are squeaking or making noise. And, you know, so I know kind of what I'm looking for. So I can predict what way a car is going to behave from there on out. But if you can't, or you know nothing about cars, or if you're a person who spent the last 5 years driving a car, never opening the bonnet once, then you know you gotta go to a main dealer because you get proper warranties and things. Sorry, I'm still drinking from my Bridgestone Drive Guard cup. That wasn't intentional. I'm not trying to pimp Bridgestone in any way, shape, or form. But if Bridgestone want to sponsor these videos, you know, it's fine. So quick reminders. Number 1, subscribe if you haven't subscribed here before. Number 2, click the like button, the little thumbs. You know that little thing that does this, the thumb bit? Click that thing. And 3, if you really want to support the independent channel and the ability for me to be able to say whatever the hell I want to say, then you need to go to patreon.com/thenextgear and give whatever you can there, as some people already have. All new cars, at least in the UK, depreciate like a brick falling off a cliff. They lose 20% of value when they drive off the forecourt. That has always been the way, Morgan writes. 100% of the time, all cars are depreciated incredibly quickly from brand new. If you're buying a 100 grand car, it's worth like 70 grand by the time you just drive off the forecourt. So that's life, but doesn't mean we have to put up with that kind of depreciation or being told that in 3 years' time your car is going to be worth 10 grand when it could be worth 12 or 13. You just don't know. Thoughts on the Toyota Auris hybrid for motorway driving roughly 50 miles a day? No, there is no. The only motorway driving I've done that's been anyway good in a hybrid was in a Prius. And it's because they've really tuned that drivetrain thing to literally not use any petrol wherever possible. Hybrids don't do well at motorway speeds. They really don't. The only thing that does well at motorway speeds is a big 6-speed, big engine diesel car. But you know, if you 50 miles a day is about 75, 80 kilometers. Yeah, it's going to get expensive pretty quick. Hybrids do really well in start-stop driving because it uses the battery often. That's kind of the way it is. But 50 miles a day, surely you could use an electric car, all electric, at this point for 50 miles a day. It's not much. What version of the Exodus you've got? GL, or is it differently in Ireland? It's called something different in Ireland. It's SCH something or other written on the back of this thing. I forget. Look at yesterday's video. You'll see what's written on the back of it. But it's the top spec model I have at the moment. What do you think about DIY servicing cars over 6-year-old? Absolutely, Steve. 100% of the time you should learn how to do something with your car. Happy Easter there, Cario. You should definitely lift the bonnet of your car and look underneath it. Now, I'm not talking about getting into the whole. Don't be nervous, right? First of all, the worst thing you can do to a car when you're servicing it is put too much oil in, right? Too much. Now, if you overfill a car with oil, you will coat the spark plugs and you won't get spark, okay? Hi, Benny. Thanks. Thank you, Benny, for your comment there. Greetings from Belgium. Well done, Belgium. I was in Belgium once. I had a lunch in the main city in Belgium. What's that called? I forget. It's quite nice. Everybody had brown eyes. Which I found really weird that everybody had brown eyes. So service in the car. So when you coat the spark plugs of oil, you get too much pressure as well, so you get other little drawbacks. But generally, the car won't start when it's got too much oil in it. That's how it works, right? If you put too little oil in, the car will run fine, unless you put under the minimum amount of oil in, right? So they're the worst things you can do. Cleaning the air filter is a brilliant thing to do. Literally take the air filter, open the air filter box, take the air filter out, give it a shake off, give it a hoover, blow it go to a petrol station, blow the thing out. You could change the spark plugs. Are really easy to do. That's so simple. It's one of the easiest, cleanest jobs to do in a car. Change the spark plugs. You could check on various fluid levels and oil levels and things as well. So plenty of stuff you could be doing to a car without having to absolutely drive yourself mad, Steve. But if it's over 6-year-old, absolutely go for it. Have you ever tried Korean food? Yeah, of course. Korean food is gorgeous. Asian food in general is gorgeous, I have to say. Benny, you've been warned. Don't be doing things on the channel. What are you doing on the channel? You're spamming. I don't see these things. Brussels. I was in Brussels. Yes, I was. Absolutely lovely. Really nice place to go. Hang out. I serviced my 2004 Ford Fiesta 1.4 Mark V myself and got a Haynes manual. So Haynes manual, aren't they wonderful? They've been around for years. They're so ignored these days. It was easy out, saved lots of money, fresh motor oil, filters and plugs. The only thing I will say to you is you probably won't seem to save a lot of money. Okay? And I'll tell you why. When you go to a dealership and you pay €99 for a service, right? They change the oil. That's kind of it. And they might have a look around at a few other things, but they kind of just change the oil. They might change the spark plugs if you're lucky, but generally it's only the oil. When you're servicing a car yourself, you change the oil, you change the spark plugs, you change the air filter, you change the oil filter, there's lots of things. So it ends up costing like 80, 90 euro, maybe 100 euro for all the bits you need to do the service. But the service will be way more than the dealership has done. It might not be right, but it'll be more than the dealership has done. Don't go to Halfords. Go to an independent little place. We have Bradshaw's here in the town. There's another one. There's loads of places where you are, right? So go to an independent place. Walk in with confidence and say, I need the service kit for a 2006 Seat Leon. And they'll go oil, air, spark plug. So you want the oil filter, you want the air filter, you want spark plugs, you want a gallon of oil. And that's about it. You might need a sump nut or a sump washer, which would be the washer that goes onto a sump nut. So you might ask for that as well, sump washer, so you can sound like you know what you're talking about. And then buy a Haynes manual for your car and go home and spend Sunday morning. Go have your breakfast, come out, jack up your car safely, lock off the wheels so they can't move around, and away you go. Start servicing your bloody car. It's not going to hurt you much. I recently bought a C3 Picasso 1.6 HDI 90 brake horsepower 2010 with 50,000 miles. Any advice on maintaining that engine? Keeping it until dead. I like it. That's the best way to keep a car. Keep it until it's dead. Don't be changing the car unless you really need to. C3 Picasso. So if you have a Picasso, is that the one you have to take the bloody bumper off the front to try and change a headlamp? Or is that an older one? The main point is, check your oil regularly. It should look like honey when it's brand new. And it'll get darker and darker and darker until it turns black, right? Once it's black, it needs to be changed. That's as simple as that. So once you drain it, so the very first thing you do is open the oil cap at the top, on the top of the engine. Open it up, because lets air in through the top. Then you go under the car and you open the sump nut and you drain out the oil. And just leave it till nothing more can come out at the end. Just leave it alone. Go away and do something else. Then you take off the oil filter. You get your new oil filter, you put a nice band of oil around the oil filter, screw that back on, put in the sump nut, change the sump washer, put in the sump nut at the bottom, fill it up with a recommended amount of oil. It'll be different for every car. Big diesel cars can take 7 litres or 8 litres of oil. Other cars take maybe 3.5 or 2 litres of oil, small amounts. And then start it up and it'll sound like heaven running. Where are we at? Cat Korean from China. So recycling centre will take the oil also to get the ring to check your local dealers. Yes, that's correct. A recycling centre will take the old engine oil. I actually have a gallon of engine oil sitting on the ground inside that's out of my Seat Leon. So it's the old oil. It went into an old gallon can. Have you ever smoked DMT? I don't know what a DMT. What's DMT? Is that a drug? I don't do drugs at all of any kind. Other than tea and coffee and alcohol, but the only thing now. I used to smoke cigarettes, yeah, sure. And I was in Amsterdam once and got absolutely wasted at one of them cafe things after he gave us some marijuana thing, which gave me a really weird feeling. So I never did it again. That was years ago. My service kit was from a local motor factory, more high quality Bosch parts, fully synthetic motor. Correct. You get much better quality stuff. I used to put Castrol GTX Magnatech into an older car, 10W40. The oil filter and air filter, they will be called spurious, as they call it. Don't worry about the spurious thing. It's probably the same thing. I used to sell car parts, and we used to sell Filtron oil filters and air filters once upon a time. Filtron would be the main manufacturer for almost every car manufacturer out there and their cars, particularly German ones. So Filtron filters used to go into all the Volkswagens, and yet they'd call our stuff spurious. But Filtron, if it's not put in by a dealership, it's spurious. Did you see the new Dodge Challenger Demon 840? Dodge bring out some great looking yokes, but I wish they'd just come to Ireland. For God's sake, Dodge, bring some cars here that are not the standard fare stuff, the good stuff. First time been able to catch this live a little. Speaking of changing spark plugs, made a mistake of attempting to change them in a BMW 330i, half the engine bay didn't come out. I know, that's the problem. There's loads of forums online, not necessarily about servicing a car, but the best cars for servicing. So generally, the older the car or the bigger the engine bay, the easier it is to get at everything. That's the problem. Diesels are a lot harder to service. I mean, full service. You change glow plugs and do all sorts of crap. It's very expensive as well. Usually take a lot more a lot more oil as well. So petrol engines generally easier. YouTube videos, there's loads of YouTube videos out there how to service various cars. Definitely learn how to do it. Get familiar with it yourself. Don't be afraid. You're probably not going to break the car in any meaningful way, except for when you disconnect a cable or something where it might not start again because you pull the cable out. But check it out. Like, go through everything yourself. Okay. Make sure. Okay, let's get some other stuff out of it. Still 55 people watching here. What is that like? It's lovely for a Sunday, doesn't it? Subscribe to me here first of all. Click the subscribe button at the bottom of the page. But secondly, if you can give me a thumbs up as well. If you go to patreon.com/the next gear and submit there, you can keep this channel independent. I know it's very hard. 7 days a week I put videos out. I do this all the time, every Sunday. I try and do these things. I tried to cancel it a couple of weeks back and I got letters of protest asking me to don't be cancelled. People listen to this podcasts because I read out all the questions. So everybody gets a chance to have their question out. So it sounds like a radio show. I had a guy stop me in the street yesterday while I was out running. I was literally jogging along and a guy ran up beside me who was also jogging in a different direction. And he goes, "Are you doing a live stream tomorrow?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Right, I'm listening, deadly. See you tomorrow." Don't know what his name was, so hopefully he's here somewhere on the list. Thoughts on the RS3 saloon. The Audi A3 saloon is one of the prettiest cars on the market by 1,000,000%. RS3 is going to command quite a premium for the amount of car you're going to get. Anything RS is going to be good. Anything M is going to be good. They're always going to be great competition, but Audi tend to have it on the four-wheel drive, which is very good. Bob, do you protect your car from rusting? Nah, not really. You mean do I put a coating on? No, I don't really. I don't put sort of a coating underneath the thing. I do check the car quite regularly for rust, particularly on the perishable parts. So around where the rubber parts go into metal parts, like braking system or whatever. You check there, but I don't really do that much for rust. No. Ireland's not a great country. Well, I mean not a great country to rust, but cars don't rust here very well. I'm in the Midlands, so miles away from the coastline. Thanks for the info today, Bob, and down and off for a good old carvery down the town. You going for a carvery lunch? Oh, Jesus, look at you now, spending money on a carvery lunch. Do you watch Formula 1? Nah, not really. I did years ago. I used to watch quite a bit of Formula 1 years and years ago, but back in the days, Michael Schumacher and, that kind of driver was out there. But these days, they're all like rich bitches, the ones that have the most money. Come and get the drive, That's how you can have some random dude who no one's ever heard of as suddenly the Formula 1 driver because he brought the most money. So it's very hard to kind of be in that position of looking at Formula 1 and going, this is great. When actually the guy who finishes is the guy who started first, But at the same time, it's supposed to get better. It's supposed to be better this year. I still haven't seen anyone out there telling me that it's any better than it was last year or the year before. And plus they sound weird these days, don't they? Right, sorry. I'll read out now so I can just get it out of my head. Never saw people keeping classic cars alive in Ireland, unlike here in Sweden where everyone has an old American car. Any thoughts on why I'm wrong? There is a massive classic car group here in Ireland. Massive. There's a huge amount of classic cars that you can have. They're just not driven on a daily basis. They're not driven on the road. But every single weekend there's a classic car meet, 100%. There's also the American classic, what's it called? MAC, M-A-A-C. Midlands American Classic Car Club or something, which is in Kilbeggan, not very far from me, and they have a meet on soon, which is now a lot of Northern Ireland people come to that, but a lot of Mustangs, a lot of big Camaros and things come out to that. Brilliant. Did you ever get into any 70s 80s cars meetings? 70s 80s 70 80 car meetings? I go to a few car meetings, but unfortunately I can't really go around car meetings anymore. Most people know who I am at car meetings, which is cool, but I just want to look at cars and take pictures and do videos and stuff. People come running up to ask me questions, which is funny. It's good crack though. I'm 45. I'm very old, Ilias the monster. For YouTube, I'm very old. My 4-year-old A3 is starting to make a weird whiny noise when the driver's side door is unlocking. When a weird whining noise. So is it just the door locked? The lock inside the door? That's pretty straightforward to fix. A whiny noise. So in a locking system inside a door, you've got two kinds of locking system. One is a great big mechanical thing that happens that pushes all the doors up. The other one would be some sort of electronic version of that, which still moves a mechanical part but does electronically. So I would suggest that there's probably not that much wrong with your car, the whiny noise, as long as the door still keeps locks and unlocks. A bit of WD-40 into the lock itself just to make sure. Make sure it's WD-40 as well. Don't put anything else. WD-40 is a sort of a vegetable based oil. It's a good oil, and it's a drying oil, but it's also releasing fluid, so it'll release anything that's wrong in there. Going through all of them here. Message rejected. Do you have any plans to go into any car shows in the future? At the moment I'm kind of busy. I have to do the Virgin Media Night Run next Sunday. I have to go to Cork on Friday. I'm supposed to be doing a speaking thing for a charity engagement thing on the Saturday, so I'm kind of snookered for the next couple of weeks. But yeah, whatever comes up. But generally, there's one down in Carlow that a friend of mine put me on Facebook today, which is coming up very soon, 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. I'll be going to that one, alright. I've no problem. You want to come up and talk to me at a car show? I'm absolutely fine with that. So it's okay. It happens all the time. I studied motorsport and F1 as part of my mechanical engineering course, and a very lucrative part of a lot of corruption. It's weird. Yes, it usually is. Anywhere where lots of money is changing hands generally will attract any sort of weirdos. Hey Jamie, how are you? Rodney, have to go now. Great show, Bob. See you on the other side. See you on the far side, Rodney. Come on. Sound job, Bob. Thanks, Richard. Someone's typing XXX. Are they kisses or what? First time watching the show, Bob, and enjoying it. Thanks, Steve. Don't forget, this show goes on YouTube after I've finished it, so you can go back and watch it again from scratch. Or like a couple of mates of mine who just go onto YouTube, they put in the headphones, they go to work, and on the train on the way there, they listen like a radio show. That's why I do it kind of like a radio show. I read out the questions. John McGarvey there. Lex in the live chat, Bob, listen to all the other live chats as videos throughout the last few weeks. Great crack. See, they are good crack. You can get them. That's all right. People are asking me to do a podcast as well. I don't know if I have enough hours in the bleeding day to do podcasts. Plus, it costs a fortune. I'll tell you now straight off that to upload a 2-hour podcast to any crowd anywhere is going to cost a minimum of 15 or 20 quid a month, every single month, right? And I'm a freelancer, and I don't have that kind of money to be forking out on just making a podcast that's gone out for free. So if somebody wants to sponsor that, you can do that on patreon.com/thenextgear. You can sponsor doing a podcast. I need like 15 or 20 quid a month or something to do a podcast. Column F, Bob, happy Easter. Do you know if any insurance company would do a 2-car policy for the one driver? 2 cars, 1 driver, okay. I got a second car and it was looked upon as a separate policy and I had no claims bonus on the second car. That's very weird, Colin. You'd imagine at this stage that a driver could be insured, because I have fully comprehensive insurance myself on my own cars. Forget about press cars. But on my own cars, I have fully comprehensive insurance, which allows me third party to drive any car. Doesn't matter what the car is. Any car, up to the value of whatever it is, 100 grand or something. So you'd imagine to be able to take out an insurance policy on 2 cars for one driver would be the same thing if it's a 2-car household. I don't know, Column F, to be honest with you. So you want to use your no claims bonus to insure 2 cars. Anyone else able to answer that question from Column F? If you have a look there at 1522, you asked the question. Maybe there's some insurance specialist here among the audience somewhere. I'm Japanese. Are you American? ? No, I'm definitely not American. I'm Irish. Hello, Bob, says Andrew Bychester. Well done, Andrew. A common person to have around the place. I love having the usual suspects turn up. Kalen from Romania. Hello, Romania. He's Japanese. Good man. Which better, VW Passat B6 or Toyota Avensis? Oh, man. Go to Passat, right? Avensis is very good, but really boring compared to a Passat, but very good. Love that our 2000 Skoda Octavia, every time you lock and unlock the door, you can hear the mechanical clack, clack, and you know what I mean. I know exactly what you're talking about, yeah. Used to be, like years ago, you know when you hear tick-tock, 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 indicator? That used to be a relay inside a car. I don't even know what a relay is. So a relay is basically a switch that opens and closes, right? So it's an automated switch. So when you used to hear, instead of a car going tick tock when you had the indicator on, that's actually a relay going tick tock inside the car. Now these days is not generally, they're not relays. It's an electronic thing, and it's actually a sound that has to be imitated. But that's why they all sound different these days. But the live stream is very stable. Yeah, it's all right for being outside, isn't it? The live stream. I mean, I'm outside, like in the wilds. I love the American gas V8 only because they make it appear. Yes, they do. American is a gorgeous thing to be driving around. A big old. Are you heading to Dublin this week, Bob? Yes, on Tuesday I'll be there to get my Golf GTI. I'll probably be there again on Thursday to pick up another car, but I have a couple of meetings on that day as well. And then Friday I go to Cork. So yeah, pretty busy this week. I think the only day I'm actually home this week is tomorrow and Wednesday. Do you think that too many new car buyers are using PCP instead of buying outright? PCP is an odd one, John. It's a really strange thing because we needed it to keep the car market going, because there was literally no access to finance from the banks. So in 2008, the massive crash came. 2009, banks stopped lending to everybody, and it meant that it was very difficult to get a new car for anyone, and that meant car dealerships were going out of business, and we lost a huge amount of them. And so car manufacturers got together and decided to make their own banks and create their own finance. So for some people, it's the only way they could have got a car. But for other people, it can be an awful pain in the ass as well, because it's actually setting the future value of their cars, and it's doing all sorts of things, and it can be expensive as well. You got to put a balloon payment at the beginning and a balloon payment at the end, and you got to pay it off in 3 years. So it's quite hard. By the way, in a couple of weeks' time, I'll be on 2FM with I was on before. I'll be on 2FM with Nicky Burns' show, talking about cars there as well. So if anyone wants to listen to that one, it'll be on in a couple of weeks' time. I'll put out a tweet about it, or a YouTube video here. I'll do a vlog for the day as well, which is a bit of crack. It's national radio station. It's a massive yard. Last time I did it, I got like 1,000 bleeding emails from it. I set out my email address on national radio, which you'd think would be better on the internet, but my God. How much money do you take? Take from what, Ilias? How much money do I make? Just nothing. I'm a freelance. I make whatever people pay me. Tell Column F you should be able to mirror your no claims and have 2 cars insured under your name. So mirror your no claims is the advice I have here from Cabwab, for your 2 cars, and to have 2 cars insured under your name, but 2 separate policies, I suppose. Have I missed the review of the Suzuki Ignis? What's your opinion of the Ignis as a cargo carrier for small family holiday once a year, taking 900 kilometers an hour trip? Okay, well that's all right. Yeah, I have no problem with the Suzuki Ignis. I think it's one of the best little small cars you can buy at the moment. Big rear seats, big boot. I don't know how they actually got all the space in here, but it's actually really, really good car. I put up 2 videos of it. One yesterday, one the day before. One was the exterior, one was the interior. But opinion-wise, I think it's one of the best cars in the segment. How does insurance work on press cars? And when you test drive a car at a dealer, how does it work with insurance as age? I'm only 19, I'd like to test drive a car. So dealerships, the problem is the workers are insured in the dealership. Test driving a car yourself on your own in the car, you're not insured by the dealership, particularly if you're only 19. You have to have the salesman sitting beside you, usually. But at the same time, you'd be surprised what dealers can do. Dealers can do all sorts of things. They're a law unto themselves. If you're going to drive around 15 minutes and you seem like an alright guy, you'll probably get a test drive in the car anyway. For press cars, then the insurance companies are the car companies themselves, but you have to be 25 to be insured on almost all press cars, as a lot of young people have tried to get in and do press reviews, and they might be brilliant, but you still have to be 25 to get insurance. Nothing to do with cars themselves. Favourite ugly car? Fiat Multipla, Skoda Roomster, Nissan Juke, or Citroen Cactus? Cactus isn't that ugly though, Jamie. Skoda Roomster is just weird. It looks like 2 cars that have been bet together, like a Lancia Fulvia and some sort of a van thing. Nissan Juke is a bit ugly, alright. And a Fiat Multipla is the best car you will ever buy. I guarantee you'll never regret a Fiat Multipla because you'll be inside it. How far are you from Dublin? I forget. It's like 45, 50 kilometres. No, it's more than that. 80 kilometres, something like that. In Portlaoise. Look at maps and look at Portlaoise to Dublin. I really like to say it, Ateca, but we can have the 1.4 TSI DSG 4 drive in the UK, unlike they have in Germany. So say it, Ateca. Okay, yeah, so we can't have the one they have in Germany. Yeah, that happens. If there's no market for it, they won't put it into the market here. So you're not going to get it in the UK and Ireland unless there is actually a purchase for it. But if it's available, why not order? Are you part of Richard Lewis? You sound like an English name, so I'd imagine you're in England. But the big problem there is you're leaving the UK, you're leaving Europe. So I don't know how you're going to import the one from Germany. I was going to say, hey Bob, any scoop on when the new Audi A6, A7, or A8 will be out in 2018? We're going to see a new drive system coming from Audi later on this year. So that will include the A8, which will be later on this year. I'd imagine the A8 will be first. A7 will be somewhere around March of next year, I think. And the new A6, they're probably currently disassembling an out BMW 5 Series to find out what they want to copy from it. But a new A6 will be coming in early 2018 as well. I'd say they'll launch A6 and A7 on top of one another. If you could recommend one Super Mini at the moment, what would it be and why? Super Mini. So what are we talking about? Like a fast GTI version Super Mini, or are we talking about just a little car? That market is so flooded. The little car market is such a broad, wide open thing. This thing is a Super Mini technically as well, but it's actually kind of an off-road, like a Fiat Panda yoke as well. So it's a bit of everything. There isn't one particular Super Mini I'm going to recommend because I can't think of any one in particular that really stands out for me. They won't let you, probably most times you have to 22. Yeah, 25 it is for press cars really in Ireland. You have to be like minimum 25 just to get insurance. So it's nothing to do with how you could be the best car reviewer in the world, but just insurance won't work here. What's the prettiest car in your opinion? New and old, money no issue. Prettiest car. Most of those hypercars are really technically ugly. And I saw some guy's video the other day where he bought Aston Martins. What's his name? He's another YouTuber dude. It struck me as a kind of weird. Why would you make a YouTube of cars that you bloody buy, rich bitches? But yeah, he likes Aston Martins. Some of the Aston Martin stuff is absolutely gorgeous. I love the DB9, although it hasn't aged that well. It's really pretty. BMW i8 is a very pretty car, but it's aged terribly. There isn't really a very, very pretty car in the market right now. There's some very nice, unusual stuff out there that I've seen, but nothing really that big pretty. What do you think of Car Wow channel? By the way, I do like your channel as it's different to the Car Wow type videos. Hi Shane, I like Car Wow. I know some of the people that review cars on Car Wow, like I know them personally. It's fine. It serves a purpose like anything else, is to get a message out about reviewing cars, making money. You know, I don't really have any problem with them. We don't really get in each other's way, put it that way. I'd like some of their subs though. Come and sub here. Click the subscribe button there for more of this stuff. You know I do it every bleeding week. Like, there's lots of other car channels out there that I was roaming about yesterday, having a look at some of the other car channels, not reviewing channels, but young lads that buy cars and spend money and then go about saying how crap they are, and you know, I'm self-made stuff, a lot of shite. Daddy pays for most of the stuff in the big businesses and things. You know, like I put out a Snapchat. I'm on Snapchat as well if anyone wants. Bob Flavin on Snapchat as well. What's funny is I was looking at YouTube trending tab. And the competition I have, Shmee, there he is, Shmee 150, that lad, buys Aston Martins, idiot. The competition I have is like big TV channels, RTE and BBC, and they're all trying to take my audience. I don't try and take their audience, but they're trying to take mine, which is kind of funny. So it's getting harder and harder to do it on YouTube. So, you know, if you can give us money I'm talking about patreon.com/the next gear if you want to keep this channel as free as it possibly can be, and we try and do as much as we can here. If not, just please subscribe. Click the subscribe button. It's around there somewhere on the page. Just click it and then you get notified. Click the little bell beside if you want notifications when something like this happens. What was your first car? Mine was a Mark IV Golf. My first car that I actually bought with my own money was £100, I think it was at the time, and it was a Datsun Nissan Cherry, and it was a piece of shit, but it was yellow and I loved it. I loved that car. It was £100, I think it was. It was rubbish short, but it was great at the same time. It was a freedom that I got all of a sudden. This idea that I could just go anywhere in the country once I put petrol in it. It was great. Forgive you, Father, for you have sinned. Correct. You promised us a 10-minute video on the Ignis, and we only got 4. There's another video coming out, Brian. I have to film it today. So I will have that out during the week. Just pledged. Awesome job. Thank you very much, Maroa Vesa. Thank you very, very much. I'm delighted to pledge. Patreon.com/the next gear. Steve Bailey, have you ever crashed one of your test cars? Yes, I have. A Volvo, straight into the back of a van. Not particularly hard, like 5-6 kilometers an hour, but the active safety system didn't work. So, yeah, a Volvo. Did I crash? I was crashed into an Seat. Oh yeah, it was a Seat. What's that little mid-sized 5-door kind of MPV thing? Anyway, I was crashed into the back of it. It was a religious van, an African church van, and I remember all I could see in the back window was the name of the name of the church or something. The blessed something or other. He got out and blamed me. He hit the back of me. It's funny. Yeah, Shmee 150. I watched some of his stuff last night. He's if I had that much money, I wouldn't make fucking YouTube videos about it, in fairness. Anyway, F1 starts in a bit. Which driver are you supporting this year? None of them. Don't care. They've all got too much money. What do you think about the Ed China splitting from my bureau? That's a shame, isn't it? God damn it. Ed China has taught me more about fixing and doing things in cars over the years than absolutely anyone else has ever done. Mike Brewer taught me some things about buying cars, although very little. We're all mercenaries, you know. If I got a TV show and it got suddenly shown in America, it becomes very big and very important. That's just the way to go. But Mike Brewer is a bad fit for that other dude that now has replaced Ed China. I don't care if he's a master mechanic or not, or whether he's pretty or not. It's irrelevant. A good teacher is a very different thing to find. And Ed China was an incredible teacher. He's a man who loved to teach, and I really would appreciate if he wants to ever get in touch with me. We'll certainly do something. But it's such a shame that it ends like that. It's terrible. Anyway, that's a really good question, Steve Bailey. Well done. Today is Easter Sunday in Orthodox Greece. It's Easter Sunday in Ireland as well. Don't have to be Orthodox. You can be just Catholic and you still get zombie Jesus. Does Daddy pay for them? I don't know how it works with Shmee 150. I just seen some other guy bought a Lotus Exige, some kid with floppy hair, and he's driving around maintaining that he made himself his own business. A lot of bollocks. These people just get tons of cash. And then people watch their stuff. And all they do is, I bought this car, and it's 10 reasons why this car is crap and I bought it. Like, you're an idiot if you bought a crap car. You're an idiot. It's as simple as that. You should be watching people who actually review cars like me. And other car reviewers, I'm sure there's other place for it. Experience tells me what car is good and what car is. And I can tell you, but any car, put me in for 10 minutes and I'll get out and I'll give you a review in a blink of an eye how bad or good it is. Traditional media are funny with YouTubers. I don't like it. Yeah, but funny enough, they're all intruding in the YouTuber space. You look at how many shows that are put up online by the car company, by the TV company themselves. How fast that happens. My first car, a Mark 1 Golf in orange. God, that would have been. Have you still got it, Andrew? No, that's a really good car. Brian Cullen, brilliant, Bob. Thanks for answering. Keep up the good work. No problem, Brian. Here, trending is full of the Survivor TV show, like people are brainwashed with it. You see, that's not what the trending is full of TV shows. It shouldn't be. YouTube need to do something about that. The creators need to be protected out here. These people, like me, who spend my time out in the wind and rain and miserable crap, filming cars on my own, whereas you got TV companies out there who are being paid exorbitant amount of money to sit in a nice warm studio, and they're the ones who are on the trending tab. They're the ones who are being promoted. They're the ones who are being pushed out there, not the creators, the actual creators. It's weird to see. Happy Easter, everyone, says John. Good man, John. I suggest Harry's Garage for some classic performance cars done really well. Harry's great. Is that a YouTube channel? I love that. Love your videos. Keep it up, particularly the VW California review. I want one of those. There's a new one of those VW California videos coming. I booked in a VW California in the last couple of days. I can't remember what day, but it's coming. It's on the way. So we'll have an updated, the 2017 version of the VW California video, which is the most commented video in the world. Motor Trend Roadkill, that's a good laugh. I'm pissed about Ed China and Brewer split. Met them at the NEC a few years back. Nice blokes. I met Ed China once upon a time. I don't know what the hell was that. Was that something? And he turned up at it. He was lovely. He's a really nice guy. Such a gentleman. Just a nice guy, you know. But such a bloody good teacher. I used to teach myself. I teach computers and I teach lots of stuff. I'm plugging in a power thing. If there was a sudden shake on the screen there in front of you, it was because I'm plugging in a power thing at the bottom. Because I've run out of power. But where are we? Sorry, let's go back a bit now. Love Ed China. He was a great teacher. He left because of velocity. Want to make a wheeler dealers worse, essentially. Well, they want to change it. I don't know if they want to make it worse, but they certainly want to change the system. So that happens. New guys, new ideas. Ed's not happy. He's made his money in a way, and he's done his work. I love you, Bob. No problem. I love you too. Hello. YouTube Red sucks. YouTube Red is not available in Ireland, although my videos do show on YouTube Red because I'm told by YouTube they say they put it out on YouTube Red. I don't know what it means though. I have an Audi A3 e-tron. Very good. That's a nice car. That's a very good car. Yeah, I quite like the e-tron. Can't read your username. Thank you for the info, RE Audi releases. Why is everyone guesstimating that all you need to do is ask for an Irishman? There you go. You see, just ask the Irishman. The Irishman knows everything. So how about that Spotify playlist? All those amazing tunes. I just haven't had time. Everyone keeps asking me the Spotify playlist. All the amazing tunes. Anyone's looking for the music that I do or music I use in my videos, they come from absolutely wonderful people who provide me access to their tracks over on SoundCloud. And I get almost everything from SoundCloud there. The odd duck I get from YouTube themselves as well. Sometimes I get them from there's another crowd called Cavendish, I think, does them. But generally speaking, I go to SoundCloud. I found the music I'm looking for. I email the creator immediately and I go, here's my YouTube channel. Here's the stuff I've done before. Here's the way I've used music before. Can I use your music? And they go yes, or they go no, or they don't answer. If they don't answer, I don't use it. I don't take music from somebody. I wouldn't do that to somebody. But wherever I can, I promote their music and I hope that they all go well. The last video I used a big amount of music on was on the one Just Start Saying Yes video, which is from like 3 days ago. I'm very proud of that video, by the way. That music came from a collaboration between two people that I was already using. One I got new permission from, and I absolutely loved that thing. So it was great. It was a great tune. Harry's Garage, Harry's Meth. I used to run Evo magazine. Harry's Garage. Is that Harry Metcalf? I know Harry. I met Harry a couple of times. I haven't gone to it yet. I must go and check this Harry's Garage out. That could be a good laugh. What's your thoughts on new Top Gear? I've only watched 2 episodes of the thing. I wasn't terribly impressed, to be honest with you. It's gone very childish or something. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know why. Look up old Top Gear. It's just good fun. Older Top Gear. And I'm not slagging off Top Gear. If you look at some of the other stuff that's been done out there right now, including the Jeremy Clarkson thing, it's very childish. They're very like, let's just go for the views, man. YouTube Red is only in the US. Is it? Okay. Well, that's what happens, isn't it? Love the community feel of your channel, Bob. It's great. Yeah, there is a bit of a community going on here. There usually is. Most people are really, really nice. We kind of stick in around this amount of viewers at any one time, but it usually winds up being days of stuff that's been watched by the end of it, which is great. I'm still trying to figure out how to plug in this thing without disturbing the camera too much. Yeah, there we go. Community feeling. Yep. Isn't the Audi A3 e-tron the same as the Golf GTE? Yes, it is. On the drivetrain front, it certainly is the same, yeah. Love that Uncle song you used on your A3 review years back. Yeah, I know. You're not allowed to get away with using the copyright stuff. There's no one to ask. I would certainly love to use some of the chart songs that are out there right now, but you're not allowed to ask anybody. I don't know who to ask for that sort of stuff. So it's an impossible situation. I want to use music to promote my channel. I want their music promoted by my channel. I only want to use that much, like 20 seconds of it or something. And you just get copyright strikes all over the place. So it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. And it takes too long to get clearance and all that crap. So I just go to SoundCloud. And I'm an audiophile as well. There's some lovely stuff. I will make a Spotify playlist at some point. I just have to sit down and actually do it. And then I have to choose music. It's going to have Sleaford mods on it. Am I allowed to have sweary music? Because those guys are fairly rough. Audi A3 Saloon or Golf Estate, would you recommend? Golf Estate for the room. Audi A3 Saloon is the prettiest car in the world. If you buy an S-line body kit on it, you will not regret the Audi thing, but you will also not regret the Golf Estate. They're very nice. I know you're Japanese. You've told us before several times. Bob, what is your favourite muscle car ever era? Muscle cars go back to Steve McQueen absolutely booting around in a Ford Mustang with a Dodge Camaro in it as well. And there you have my joy of all joys. I would love that. Any news on a new Toyota Yaris? God, yeah, I suppose. Eventually we're going to get another Yaris. Hopefully it'll be a bit more solid than the current Yaris, which feels a bit top heavy. I don't know when it's going to be released I would like to see a new Yaris come, because Yaris is a very good car usually for particularly for beginners. But as long as I stick with the 1 litre small engine stuff and manual gearboxes, you'll be fine. I'm sure we'll have it. When was the last Yaris? I was on the international launch. The last Yaris, I'm sure, was in Holland or something. Congratulations with the 22k subs too. No problem. I'd love it. I love the 22k subs. It's brilliant. Hopefully you're up more than 22k now. You know, subscribe while you're here. Bob, can you recommend a good dash cam? I actually had a dash cam, a road cam. What was it called? Road cam or something? I had one. I tell you where I bought a really cheap one. Aldi had one, and I bought it was like 30 euro or something. It was really dirt cheap. And it's fine. It was okay. But it sometimes it didn't come on at the right time, which is kind of funny. It only half done things. So there's definitely a good one called. You want one that has a motion sensor in it. So when you start, that you can permanently hook in. So you start the engine, it starts to roll, and when something, if you brake hard, it automatically records that and won't write over it. So you want one of them. What was the one I had? It was called Roadkill or something. Road something or other. What do you think is the best sounding car sound system you buy from the factory? I had Harman Kardon sound in an Audi one time, I think. It was Harman Kardon, or was it Bose? Maybe it was Bose. That was really good. It's not volume, it's clarity you want at higher volumes. Funny enough, I had a Bose system one time and I turned it up full blast. I was still able to sit in and have a conversation, but it was really, really clear. It's kind of funny. 22,003 subs, yay! Deadly. Road Angel, there you go, Road Angel. That's the one I was thinking of. That's a really good one. Because it's tried and tested. You get one that can have one in and out of the car as well, and you can actually put one in the back window and all. Road Angel sent me one, I'm sure, but I had to send it back at some point. If anyone has dash cams out there, imports dash cams or something, get in touch. Send me out a few, and I'd make a video of some dash cams doing their thing. You had an old Alpha 75 V6. What happened to it? Tell me more. An Alpha 75. You know what's a good bet on a future classic, by the way? A Rover. Rover cars. Do you know how pretty them things are? God, they're so nice. Future classic, defo. Any of them, by the way. Hybrid or electric car. So think of mileage, right? If you do 50,000 kilometers a year or 45 diesel, if you do 35, 25, anywhere in that region, kind of petrol, but bigger petrol engines. If you're sub that, hybrid. And if you're under the 20,000, so you're down in there 15,000 kilometers, electric. At the moment, that will change. The electric will go up. Talking Top Gear, they should have asked you and Ed China to present. Ed China was actually on Top Gear once upon a time, believe it or not, he was. Back in season 1 or 2 or something. I'm such an anorak when it comes to fucking old Top Gear. Anyway, they should have asked you and Ed China to present with a great TV rating. Yeah, it'd be a good crack in fairness. Get Ed China to make something or fix something. Alpha including free rust, yeah. Yeah, older ones. Rover 25 and 45. So 45 is such a pretty car. The Rover 45, and there's a Rover 75. Was that a big saloon, kind of a sloped saloon with 4 headlights on it? That was a really pretty car. MG, you know the MG, the little fast one. That's quite a nice little car as well. It was a little small 5-door hatch. It's one of the later ones from the Rover system, which was quite nice. They were lovely cars. You'd be surprised how these things come around in circles. Such a shame Rover's gone. No one left to slag. They used to make really cars now to make alright stuff. Or not now. Don't buy a Rover now. Coffee. Keep me going for another little bit. 107 minutes. We're doing well. It's nearly 2 hours. I would have had MG version of the 45 and 75 and a ZR ZT. ZR, see that ZR there you just mentioned? That's the one I'd be thinking of. That's really nice. MG made some great cars. The Rover 45 was a nice little car. There was remember the Maestro? They used to talk to you. God, I remember the ad on television for that. It was a Maestro. It was able to speak, and was the best part of the whole ad was this thing talking to you. I don't remember what it said. Something about your seatbelts. Your seatbelts are not done up or something. It was absolutely rubbish, but the ad was good on TV. Always had a soft spot for the Rover 75. Old man car for sure, lovely all the same. No, I don't. I have a 2-litre petrol 75 now. I'd have a good old zoom in that. If you get a 3.8, I think it's 3.7 or 3.8 version as well. Rover 214 was awful. Had a problem with its accelerator, wouldn't stop. Really? Just keep going. Sure, that's great. 3.8, there we go. It was a 3.8 litre. It was an engine that was around for years and years and years in Rover and MG, but they just stopped doing it because it was too big at some point. But it was a bulletproof Yoffie. If you can find any of the old Rovers with that 3.8 in it, you will get a car that will run forever, and it'll probably run on oil, on alcohol, trains and vodka, and it'll probably run. They're just really rock solid engines. V8 versus the MG ZT, that'd be something else. I haven't driven that, to be honest with you. I had an MG Maestro that talked to you. It was a great car. Yes, there's the MG thing. And if anyone remembers a Princess, remember there was a car called a Princess? God, that was such a ball of muck. No problem, Mr. Moderator. You enjoy yourself. See you later. Have a test of BMW i8. Yes, I have a couple of occasions. There is a video of the BMW i8 going around Mondello at full tilt on my channel. Brilliant car. Hasn't aged well, but a brilliant car. Did you make the Lancia Beta multi-car review? I was looking forward to it. You keep looking forward to it, Paul. It is not made. We couldn't hook up. We were both going two different directions at the same time. I will try to get around to it this coming week. If not, it'll be the week after. So many reviews to film. Price to get a new Generation 4, used Generation 3, depending on how driven both. Get the new one, the old one bears no relation. None of the models before the current generation model bears any relative relation to the current model. Current model is head and shoulders above all of the rest of them. A much nicer car to drive entirely. So buy the new one. Plus, you'll always be worth money, no matter what you buy. Hybrid's always going to be worth money. The Austin Princess. Yeah, I know. There's no man on my street years ago, Bergen, Mr. Bergen. He bought a brand new Austin Princess. He basically, brand new, it was outside his door for 2 days and never moved. And then 10 days later, they came out to take it away. Had to replace it. It was such a polish. There's actually a funny Top Gear video of them doing Austin's. One of them is a Princess. Would you recommend an F30 330 diesel? Is it worth going for the all-wheel drive 335 diesel? No, it's not worth it. I wouldn't say it's worth it. That's just a fear thing people are putting in your head about driving in winter, not using rear-wheel drive. Nah, use the rear-wheel drive. 330 diesel is fine. I definitely would recommend go for the 330 diesel in if you have enough mileage on you. 335 diesel is nice, but it's all-wheel drive, and it does kind of takes away from a little bit. Are you still going to be doing a review of the 500,000 mile score review? Yes, I will eventually. We have to wait for that. It's a particular car. It has to do its job, and then it goes back out again and be able to do something else. So I will get a chance to get at that eventually. Hyundai Ioniq. What do you think? Which model you would go for? I don't know. I'd have to go electric. I'd have to recommend electric. You can have it in hybrid, electric, or petrol. Is that what it is? I'd be more a fan of electric cars, but I'm not too sure I like to look at the Iconic, if I'm honest. I'm not blowing out again. What happens to the white balance in this thing? Every once in a while, the white balance goes psycho. Still trying to sort out a DeLorean for you. If you head up, it would be up in Northern Ireland. Unless you can come down here, I'm not going all the way to Northern Ireland to drive a DeLorean. I've driven DeLoreans before. They're nothing remarkable, I can tell you. They're nice, but they're not remarkable. If it's down here at a classic car show or something, I'll have a spin in alright. You can get a Rover Streetwise with 63,000 miles, $3,500. Oh man, Streetwise, what a ball of muck that was. But it's still now it's going to look deadly. But it was a ball of crap at the time compared to its competitors out there. Rovers made some tanking machines out there, I have to say. They really did. Any more questions? Or are we down to the last little bit now, which is the bit I enjoy the most, where we've done the time, we've put in the effort, and some people have stayed for the whole thing, and other people are brand new to the game. They're kind of going, what's going on? I followed you for a few years here on YouTube, and you really like your on-the-spot, honest opinion. Yeah, well, that's a lot of car companies don't like my on-the-spot opinion, but that's okay. The Rover V8 is iconic, quite frankly. Yes, it is. And all the Rovers are going to be iconic in the future. And if you can find a last generation Saab 9.5, you'll be buying a perfect future classic. Opinion on the 2012 BMW 530 diesel. 530, 2012. Let me look. Yeah. 5 Series are good, but yeah, they're a little bit boring. A bit predictable, even in 530 mode. Go back a few years. Go back to like Chris Spangle's 530. That's an exciting car. That's properly exciting. Do you remember the Ford Street Car? How could I forget the Street Car? What a great car that was. Well, now. A good car, but back then it was a bit crap as well. Think of changing my car to a Skoda Rapid for a Mercedes CLS shooting brake diesel. Jesus, that's some change from a Skoda Rapid to a Mercedes CLS. Anything Mercedes is doing at the moment is really good, really good. Saab made such lovely machines. Yes, they did. Saab 9.5, the last generation. Now, unfortunately, the suspension wasn't quite finished on it, but it was pretty good though. Still such a beautiful looking thing though. Should the policy of car producers making light but safe cars without turbochargers be honest in a way of having high MPG for the future? MPG has always been this kind of a sketchy thing, you know, this kind of, we might or might not get 100 miles per gallon nowadays, maybe, and then you're driving you find you only get 20 miles per gallon. It's always been a kind of a given that's a sketchy thing. It's changing, but it's not quite there yet. Cars without turbochargers. Yeah, I don't know if you get any worse MPG really. You know, turbochargers are pretty good, but I don't know if you get really that dramatically different of an MPG from a turbocharged versus non-turbocharged car. I know some turbocharged cars that eat fuel, just eat the thing. I really like the MG FTF, but I think it's a forgotten car. I like a lot of Rover MG, but they've got a K-series engine head. Yeah, well, a lot of the later ones had head gaskets all over the place. But you know what? That makes them very cheap to buy. And I would, as long as it's not been driven into the ground, I would take a head gasket gone in the car, no problem. I'd take it on, just change the gaskets out myself and put it all in back together. You'd end up with a right car. Saab 9.5 in 2010, 1.6 turbo, 180 brake horsepower. My God, 180 brake horsepower, 1.6 turbo. 77,000 miles, 12.5 grand, and you'd never look back. They're such a lovely car to drive, so smooth. The MGF would literally disintegrate let it out in the rain. Yeah, I don't know. If it's still alive now, it's not gonna go now. Have you ever seen comments from that Australian car guy on the truth about start-stop system? Lots more wear and tear in the engine, fuel idling. Yeah, I've seen a lot of comments from one way or the other. So start-stop, there's two or three kinds of start-stop. So when you pull up to a traffic light and you take your foot off the clutch, it's supposed to disengage and it should then stop the engine. So some cars actually stop the engine like you turned off the keys, completely stop the engine. And when you push the clutch in, the starter motor goes and starts to turn the engine over again, and away you go. That's one form of start-stop. Another form of start-stop is a bit like the Audi system, where they stop firing electricity into the cylinders, which pauses the engine instead of stops the engine. And then they fire electricity again, the explosion starts over again, and away you go, right? So in a petrol engine, that'll be fine. In a diesel engine, that's not so good. I would imagine that stop-start would put very little extra wear and tear on the engine of the car unless you're using it the whole time. I would also suggest that if stop-start was going to do damage to the engine, they wouldn't have put it into the car, but that they use it to bring the CO2 emissions down on the car that they can declare. So, yeah, there is both sides to every argument. VW Golf or Audi A3, worth getting a diesel or a petrol? I would go for petrol at the moment, Rob, especially if in the UK there's a special tax going to come in about diesels very soon. But I would buy, from those two, I would buy a VW Golf 1.4 TSI, preferably with a DSG box, but not necessarily. You can buy a manual one as well. Lovely car. Audi A3 is quite nice, but there's quite a premium difference between the two. If you're going to buy a Golf or an A3, I'd buy a Golf. Unless it's the A3 Saloon. That's a very, very pretty car. My Sep mother run a 2003 MG. Oh, yeah, sorry. It's almost 80,000 head gasket change. Has had that. Yeah, well, I changed a head gasket. 2003 MG TF gone through one head gasket. No problem. I'd have no problem with that at all. But, look, it's a pain in the ass. It's a big job. It sounds like, the head gasket's gone and that. If it wasn't driven on, if the head gasket went and it just pulled over, it'll be fine. If the head gasket went and all the oil came out of the cylinders, then you're in trouble. But other than that, I'd have no problem taking on a head gasket if it was gone. In Italy, we can have an extra cost if you have more than 250 CV, called Super Bolio, like North Korea. Right, okay. Don't know about it. I'd love to go to North Korea. I'd love to see it. It's going to be gone soon. So soon. North Korea is going to be gone so soon, and I won't have seen it as it is right now, frozen in time. But soon it'll be a subsection of South Korea. Would you recommend an A-class for young drivers, new drivers? If you can afford it, I would recommend an A-class. Yeah, no problem with that. But I would suggest that if you're starting a new car, young driver, I would buy the cheapest second-hand yoke you can find that you can. If you batter it off a wall, it's not going to be the end of the world. You know, that's kind of life the way it is. Right, we have reached our 2-hour mark. There we go. 4 p.m. and all is well, and Father Flav and thenextgear.com. Please, if you can subscribe and give money here, definitely subscribe, it'd be brilliant. Click the thumbs up, and patreon.com/thenextgear, and give whatever you can. It'd be brilliant just to keep the channel as independent as I possibly can, and some equipment to buy and some things to expand and make it even bigger than it is right now. Premium tyres are so expensive. Mid-range prices are just as good. We're going to come to tyres very soon. The Bison Continental or possibly Bridgestone are going to give us a spokesperson to come on and answer some questions about tyres. That's coming as well. Loads of plans, but to get those plans done requires money and requires time, requires effort, requires God knows the amount of resources to get it done. So if you can give money, I'd appreciate it. Go over to patreon.com/thenextgear. And give whatever you can, 2 quid, 5 quid, whatever you can for as long as you possibly can, be brilliant. If you give 10 or 20, just whatever you can. But if you can't, please continue to watch the videos here. It's brilliant of you just to do that. Turn off your ad blockers if you can, if you don't, please. Turn off the ad blockers. Click the thumbs up, click the subscribe button. I hope every one of you have a lovely Easter. And if tomorrow is a bank holiday, make sure you get yourself a nice little drinky poos tonight. Do not drive tomorrow. Plan to take the day off from driving and enjoy yourself. Until the very next time, I will see you all on the far side, and enjoy the weekend. See you next week.